All right, we're on. So good evening, everyone. I'm going to call our July 20th meeting to order at 6:01 p.m. I move that the Select Board enter into executive session pursuant to Open Meeting Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, to conduct collective bargaining sessions with the police union. And I move that the Select Board enter into executive session pursuant to Open Meeting Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining in an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body, and the chair so declares. Also related to the police union, these sessions will be held in the back conference room, and we will return to open session at approximately 7 p.m. So I need a roll call vote to enter into executive session. Ed?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Becky? Yes. Jason?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously. We will now close our public discussion and begin the executive session.
I have this up higher.
All right, great, thank you. So welcome, everyone. We're going to begin our open session portion of the meeting. Looks like we're going to 7:15 start date, so thank you for your patience. We are announcing that this is being recorded for Groveland Government Television, so I need to ask, is anyone else in the room audio or video recording this meeting? No? Thank you for confirming. With that, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I hate when that happens, Arthur. Usually it's me that does that in a meeting. Thank you for doing that instead of me. Takes the pressure off me.
All right, so public comment. I don't believe there were any public comment requests submitted. And for department comment, for right now, there's no department comment submitted. All right, so we'll get into the meat and potatoes of discussion and possible vote. We're going to start with approve the warrant for the September 1st, 2026 state primary election. The warrant has been included in our packets, and they include details of the upcoming state primary election. We do have Jen Peterson that can speak to that, our town clerk. Just make sure the microphone's green.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for your time tonight. I'll be quick. The primary reason for coming tonight was to ask for your signatures on the warrant for the September 1st primary. And I also just wanted to give a brief update, if I could, on where things stand with the upcoming election. We're going to begin the early in-person voting on Saturday, August 22nd. We'll start at 11 in the morning and go until 5 p.m., and that's going to be here in the main meeting room. The early voting will continue through the following week, Monday through Friday, and it's going to be the regular hours of the town clerk's office. So 8 to 6 Monday, 8 to 4 Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then 8 to noon on Friday the 28th. And that will be the last day of the early in-person voting. We're going to try something different this year in an effort to not displace the programs that happen here during the week. We're going to try to set up during the week over in sort of the veto area. We're going to try to set up the check-in table, the check-out table, and then, 2 or 3 of the voting booths, and see if we can, manage it all there so that things can continue as they normally do during the week in this room. Also, I wanted to remind the residents, if anybody's watching, Saturday, August 22nd will be the last day to register to vote, and that I'll be in the clerk's office from 9 to 5 that day. People can also register to vote right on the Commonwealth of Mass elections page if anyone's not registered to vote. We encourage all eligible voters to take advantage of these opportunities or vote on primary day, which will be Tuesday, September 1st. Polls will open at 7 a.m. and they will stay open until 8 p.m. And that's all I had for you tonight, unless anyone has any questions.
Any questions for the town clerk?
I just don't want, I thought last time how is the early voting, I mean, how many people are we getting in on the early voting in general?
Well, so for the local election, it wasn't that many.
Okay.
But we only had the 2 days that we had asked for.
Okay.
For the state elections, it's required that we be open.
Okay.
It's required that we're there 1 full week before the primary. And for the election that's happening on November 3rd, we need to provide 2 full weeks of the early in-person voting, and we need to staff it, and, yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know how many
Realize-
we'll get. We do have quite a few vote-by-mail applications as well.
Yeah.
But people don't, even if they're registered to vote by mail, they can decide to come in, and we'll
Anyway.
just,
Right.
give them a new one. So we don't have a choice in that matter.
Okay.
So I don't know how many we'll get. We'll see.
Okay. And so we're just approving.
You're
the
just going
ballot.
to, I just need the signatures on the warrant, yeah, so that we can get that posted.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the warrant as presented here tonight by our town clerk.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Or any further discussion?
Discussion?
Any discussion?
Yes. How much does the state contribute to the payroll for the election that they mandated? The
They
early
pay,
voting?
we have so on election day, there's the uniform polling hours. So those are the hours from 7 a.m. until 10 a.m. that they reimburse us for all of those expenses. The early voting, I'm not sure how much. I think for the local, they reimbursed us for all of the staffing. For the state, I don't know if it's quite as much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right. All in favor? All right,
you.
unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, so next up here, we have a one-day liquor license application, 2026-2. This is for approval for a one-day liquor license for Sonia Baez to serve alcohol at VZ Memorial Park on July 25th, 2026 for a baby shower. The town administrator has provided the application, venue rental agreement, certificate of liability insurance, and the responsible alcohol server certification for this request. So our role is just to vote and approve, ask questions,
Okay, well,
and such.
I'll make a motion to approve the one-day liquor license for Sonia Baez for July 25th, 2026, from 5 p.m. until 10 p.m.
I'll second for discussion.
Okay,
I just have two
yeah, let's
questions.
open up for discussion.
I don't know if anyone else. So I have
I'll
two.
start with you, yeah.
I have two questions. The rental agreement says that it's going to be from 5 to 10, but in the same packet, the event, like the VC rules say, events must end by 9 to allow cleanup and closure of the site by 10. In this case, which one takes precedence? So I think so that's question number one. And then question number two, is it also the agreement says that they have to arrange for a police detail if they're selling alcohol, or if they're providing alcohol? Do we know if that's taking place?
Mike Dempsey for the Conservation Commission. So the event may take place until 10 p.m., but liquor is limited to the hours that you're approving.
Okay, so we just need to, wait a second. The rules that are attached in the agreement say that the event must end by 9 to allow cleanup by 10. That's in the VC Park rules. I can read it. Or maybe, Rebecca, you could bring up the, I'll point you to the exact bullet. Just give me 1 second. Just zoom in here.
Event start and end times.
Yeah, event start and end times, it says, the bold section says, all events must end by 9 p.m. to allow for cleanup and closure of the site by 10 p.m. That's in the document right there. So what I'm saying is the current application says from 5 to 10. I think we would need to make it 5 to 9, based on rules in the start and end time rules that are set out in the contract.
Sure.
Okay. And what about the police detail question? Do we know an answer to that? Do we know if they have retained a police detail for this event?
I'm not sure. I would need to confirm. I know it's on them to provide, to contact the police and arrange for a detail.
So I'd be willing to approve it with the modified hours contingent on them getting the requisite police detail.
Okay,
And we
but
do have that in the applicant on all of the licenses
Yeah.
that we issue, that a detail officer is required.
Okay, so we're going to modify the agreement, and they put the times down. There's at least 3 places I've seen it 5 to 10.
Yeah, so it's,
So everywhere that is 5 to 10, you want to change it 5 to 9.
unless we want to change the overarching agreement, I think we should. Because the rental agreement says 5 to 9.
Okay, so the people, it's so confusing, but they're allowed to be there cleaning up until 10.
From 9 to 10, right. That's, if you look at what's on the board there in
Yeah, I
highlighted.
saw that part. I'm just wondering, like, with the agreement, when you're really letting them use it till 10, as long as the party stops at 9. I don't know. You know what I'm
I
saying?
didn't write it, I just noticed that it's.
It's so, I don't know how to make it, if you say 5 to 9, they may think they have to all be out of there by 9. Would they?
This is just for the sale of alcohol. So they
Oh,
will be
okay,
able to
okay,
drink
okay. This is just the
alcohol
liquor
from 5 to 9 p.m.
Okay, so this is, okay, so this is all part of the
It
same license?
doesn't have anything to do with their actual event start time and end time.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just the date that the times they can have and serve alcohol.
Okay, so everywhere on this liquor license that says 5 to 10 will be changed to 5 to 9? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, motion amended, friendly amendment, thank you.
Okay, we had a second. Any further discussion? Nothing? All right, all in favor? Unanimous, thank you.
Okay.
All right, so next up, we have Emergency Action Plan. This is a presentation by Arthur Marcos, our Highway Superintendent. Included in our packet is the Johnson Creek Dam Emergency Action Plan Review. So we're going to invite Arthur to walk through the presentation. Do you want to sit at the table instead?
No, so this, I can just sit. And
Okay, wherever you're comfortable. So I know in your presentation you had some history, so just do a quick history and then get right
Yeah, I'll
to the
keep it
good
brief.
stuff.
So I'll just give you a background on
Sure.
what this presentation was for. This was back in May of this year, 21st, we got all the associated utilities and town departments in one room, and we went over emergency action plan for this, the Johnson Creek Dam. So this is the same exact presentation that I gave them. Obviously, they were more concerned with a lot more of the details, but it's something that Rebecca suggested that we also give you guys a briefing or training on it, but also residents too, so you can actually watch this and see what
Yep.
is going on at that dam. So I can go really fast through it, especially, but the end part, I think, is more significant, but,
Yeah.
so this, you can actually, we have a presentation. This is a presentation I showed, and we can show this video. It was the first thing I showed, and you can see what happened here. This was actually in Omaha. This happened last year, and this might seem far away or foreign or not going to happen here, but this basically almost happened in 2023
Yep.
when the dam roadway was collapsing. So this is the worst-case scenario. This is the same exact thing happened to them. There was that corrugated metal pipe under there that collapsed over years of rotting and rusting, and this is the worst-case scenario. And this is something we're looking to not have to deal with.
Yep.
So you can go to the next slide. So today, we're talking about the Emergency Action Plan review. So this is, again, this is the review I gave on May 21st. And the reason we're doing this, just keep in mind that that dam is classified by the state as a significant hazard potential dam. So that means it's, so potential, I'll give you a brief history of the dam, the known structural deficiencies that we are dealing with, the impacts if it fails, what happens, recent repairs, and then the emergency action plan itself. So first thing is brief history. brief history, all right.
It's a delay.
No, it's all good.
Sorry.
Sorry. So brief history of the dam, obviously we know the brief, before that was the locust, I'm sure, I think you live next to it. So you know exactly where it is. So the dam was constructed in 1913, renovated in the 50s, impounds the lower pond. It was built for impounding water for the mill. It doesn't there's no mill there anymore, it's just for recreational services, and the important part about all this is the existing impoundment is an earthen embankment. That means it's dirt, it's not a dam that looks like the Hoover Dam. It's dirt with masonry on each side, so that's just very important there. And it has an overflow in that pipe underneath. Sometimes they call it the Salem Street culvert, but that's just an overflow. That's the one we lined this year, so that's just the very important part about that. So the next one. So known structural deficiency. So again, it's very important to know that it's classified by the Department of Conservation and Recreation's Office of Dam Safety as a significant hazard. That means they know it's bad, and this is why we're required to have an emergency action plan on file. Now, we've had this since 2020. It was on file. Rebecca, we had talked to me about it, that we had to update it. So it sat on the shelf. My recommendation was, let's just present it to all these departments. Instead of me sending them an email copy, I made this presentation. So this is why it was kind of important, even to you guys, to actually take something that's been sitting there, no one has read, and actually bring it to life, because it is.
And if I could interrupt, the one other thing that Arthur did which was fantastic was bring in National Grid and the utility companies to have them be part of that conversation so that they can get a better understanding of the impact to their utilities if there was a failure of the dam.
Yeah,
which
and
I
I'll go
thought
through
was
that, and this is, again, why it's a significant hazard. The amount of utilities that run through that road, if anything ever happened to it, would significantly affect us, maybe more than half the town. So like, you're talking about a major emergency if that ever collapsed. And she's right, yeah, I didn't go through that, but National Grid showed up. There's a 12-inch high-pressure line that goes through there. So again, so this is what deficiencies have. The corrugated metal pipe collapsed. There's subsurface voids. There was a bulge on the downstream wall. So obviously, this is in bad condition. Next. This is the voids. They took a geothermal picture of it, and you can see the voids. That's where it collapsed. That's, again, that video you've seen, that's what happened there. But obviously, they didn't catch it, and it happened all of a sudden. So that's what you kind of see there. So what would happen if the dam failed? So, you know, all these the utilities that are in there, gas, water, electricity, all run through there, would disturb residents and businesses, road closures, and then downstream flooding. So you'd have major, and they have a list of homes of what would be impacted. So obviously all that stuff would happen. It would look like a movie if it all went at once. We work with structural dam engineers and say it could happen very slowly, it could happen very fast. It's very hard to predict that, especially with earthen dams, because it does shift. Next. So you can kind of barely see this, but this is very important to know. This is a map that was given to us within our plan. So you have a water line that runs, this is the lake, the pond. The water line runs on top. You have a drainage that runs through the middle. You have this 12-inch gas line that runs through here. And also you have overhead wires in telephone poles. So this is the reason why it's not just a road, it carries a lot of utilities. And who would be responsible for all this stuff? And these are the different the different utility companies and town departments that would be responsible if anything ever goes. And this is why it's very important to have an action plan, because if anything ever happens, then you have every one of these utility companies, departments, everyone's going to be figuring out how to figure out who does what. So this is what this accomplishes. I don't have to go through that, but you can kind of see that it's a lot of people involved, a lot of different responsible parties. So this is what happened if there was a breach downstream. We kind of see that. It's kind of obvious, but you'd go, the breach would be here, and the water would flow all the way down here, and then all these houses would be impacted. Streets would be impacted and taken out, so you'd have a giant rush of water. We can go to the next one. So this is what happened in 2023. They went down and found that the pipe was collapsed. About six inches has collapsed down. and then that sidewalk there was broken, and we repaired that. It took us a couple times because we kept filling it until we stabilized it. So that was the problem. This is what, before I got here, and then when I got here, it was brought to my attention that we needed a solution, and we can go to the next slide. And we did the 2025, we did repairs. This is last year, where you can do the next one. You can see the bulging here, and then a continuous collapse into the road. So we did a liner inside the corrugated pipe. It's we actually had GZA, which is a structural dam specialists that helped us come up with a plan and file for conservation, and are now helping us going forward. But we came up with a plan where we can go to the next one, we lined it, and then we also put stone abutment on one side to stop it from collapsing, and then we also redid the overflow area that's in the pond side. So we can go to the next one. So we did a temporary repair. Now, that temporary repair actually will tie into what we're talking about in the next paving. So we had to use $150,000 out of chapter road funds to actually repair it last year, to stabilize it, which is a temporary repair. So instead of paving some roads for $150,000, we had to actually fix this. So you see how it kind of impacts us in different ways. We drained the impoundment, we replaced the stop logs. This is what we ended up looking like, with all that stone behind it to stop it from going. That right there is a picture of the sleeve that was put in. You can take another picture.
How did you stop the water from going into it? Because I know.
They drained it. They drained the entire pipe.
They drained the pond, right?
They drained the pond.
And then where did you stop the water so that it didn't keep coming in when you were doing that?
It drained enough to just give us that one day to actually do it.
Oh, okay, so you just basically took out, what do you call those, logs?
Stop logs, yeah. Let it drain itself,
Okay,
and then,
and that took it right down to the, like
yeah,
that marshy look?
before, and then it gave us we put a little bit of a dam to give us a little bit of earthen
Okay,
around it, just to give it a little bit of time in case we needed to, and then we did the repair and then let it.
okay, so they didn't have to do anything up at the Johnson's Pond end or anything? You
No,
were just
no.
able to take those logs out and let it?
Yeah, let it drain, yeah.
Okay,
That's how it kind of worked. And I know I'm going through this fast, but I mean, I
No,
wanna
no,
get
I
to the right
got-
thing.
I like
So this is actually a video of how it worked. It looked like a sock.
yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so that came through. And this is a structural liner that's going to last 30 years. And that's important because government moves slow sometimes, and we want to do this, and if we want to repair this or replace it, we have a lot of time.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we can't make it work faster. So that's for that, what we did there. So this is what we're here for, the emergency action plan. So this is in this folder. I keep it in my office. And it gives us a clear line of action if anything ever does happen. So again, this is not something we made up, we want to have. This is required by law to have an emergency action plan on file. And like I said, we gave this already to our all responsible parties and all the utilities. So they are aware of this. So we can kind of go through what this plan actually takes. And this is not that much. So basically what happens is you have a dam safety watch, right? So you either have a safety watch or warning. So now if there's something that's wrong with the dam, it goes into two categories. You got a safety watch, which is a potential failure or developing, or you have dam failure warning, which is it's imminent. And I'll kind of go through on the different situations on what would happen if either or is detected. And you can see this type of, and it's in your package too, on how it's kind of, it kind of goes through to different people that need to be notified.
But where we are now, right now, we're not in either. of
No,
those.
this is an
We're in
emergency.
good shape.
This is if an emergency happens.
Okay, so right now
We
yeah.
did the work so that we won't
Okay.
have to have this, but we are still a significant hazard dam, even though we did those repairs.
Okay,
So we're not out of this classification, but we are in a better place.
okay.
But this still is in place. So, and the fact that this is in place and it has to be in place, it should be a red flag to know that this dam is a liability to the town. Where it's being repaired and it's, it's stone behind it. So you have to look at it as a big, huge Band-Aid on it right now.
Right.
And it has to be dealt with eventually.
But does every dam have to have this, an action
No,
plan?
no.
We have to have it because of
It's
the
failing.
temporary fail, okay.
Because it's a significant hazard dam
Okay.
classified by the state. So this is something that's only particular to this dam
Okay,
in town. And this is why that's important to have a training on it in case, because it's, according to the state, that it's, it can collapse. And this is, I'll show you these classifications on how that happens. So we
Okay.
can go to the next one. So there's two, like I said, there's two qualifications, there's a watch and a warning. So say there's a, some sort, this is what would trigger a watch. If it's a seismic event, not likely here, but can happen.
yeah,
Vandalism, a bomb threat. These are all kind of, I didn't make these up, these are something that, that are,
Yeah.
they just have written down. But this can happen, civil disorder, someone can want to bomb it again, or an aircraft accident near it. The water level is unsafe, so we have a lot of floods, water can go over it. A lot of erosion in the area is another one. And leakage, like a small leak, maybe it just kind of pops out in somewhere, then becomes a watch, right? And actually, Rebecca, you would be there because you can watch it from your house.
I feel like I have ownership of this somehow. I don't know.
So next one,
so if the water level in that, what's your pond name?
Meadow Pond.
Meadow Pond. If that gets up to, do you have a level that you know is not
no,
okay?
if it's so high and then, because it goes down that overflow and it keeps coming up higher, it can wash out the dam. Again, because I said it's dirt, it's made from earthen, so that
Okay,
water, so what happens if you have an earthen dam, water table rises and it goes into the earthen dam and loosens
Yeah.
that up, like the levee.
so like when we had the flood in town, that probably damaged that
That
dam
maybe
further.
might have triggered the reason why it started happening.
Okay,
I'm watching it.
Yeah. So here are the possible failure modes. We have structural cracking,
yeah,
foundation weakness, construction joint cracking, sinkholes, embankment cracking, earthquake, security threat, sabotage. Those will give you this emergency level. Next one. And this is actually the most important part of all of this.
Yeah.
And this is, and actually, Rebecca, your Board of Selectmen chairperson is on this as,
I am.
as,
Okay.
as person that is contacted. So what would happen is, the black is the watch, which means it's like not so imminent, and then you have the warning where we're saying it's imminent. So that's what would happen. This whole table will tell you exactly what to do if this happens. So if you get a call from the police at 2 in the morning and said there's a leak through the dam, I will have to go through these steps.
okay.
If there's a warning, which means it's imminent, then they'll have to go through the red steps. So that's how it kind of works. You can see who's on there. It's the who's who of anybody that needs to be notified. And you say this is again, this is not something that is foreign because this probably happened. I was impacted when I was living in North Andover with the gas explosions.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
stuff like this happens over certain situations, and this is why things like this are into play, are set up. So you can get the next one. So who's responsible for what? So how it works in town, and this is another very important thing to know, is that the police chief becomes the EMD, the Emergency Management Director, which is a little bit different. Some towns, our fire chief becomes the Emergency Management Director, but in town, we have the police chief as a Emergency Director. So he becomes responsible for the whole process. 911 dispatch operator, they'll notify local authorities. Highway Department, we coordinate with the Emergency Management Director and local contractors to help repair it. Police assist evacuations. Groveland Fire Department helps the police. MEMA comes in, they're responsible for coordinating broadcasting and mobilization of equipment. And then Massachusetts State Police, they come in and they also help police and fire. So this is the responsible parties that would come in if the dam ever failed. These are the downstream evacuations that, at minimum, it could be much more, but at least, at minimum, these houses have been identified. If that breaches, they have to be evacuated immediately. Roads to be closed, all these roads will be closed, and it could be even more, because you'll start losing access to different roads. You're talking emergency response is going to be inhibited in certain areas. Police and fire won't be able to go through town, so it could be a huge impact. But at minimum, these houses will be evacuated. These will be identified. These were identified in the emergency action plan. And then roadblocks. Again, you'd see if all these roads were blocked, again, half the town would be isolated. And that's kind of it, I think, that's the major impact, and that's what's available, that's what this emergency action plan is stating we have to do. So, I know I went a little fast on that, but I didn't want to,
You have a second show, so I know.
I know, it's just like,
Yeah.
so, I can take questions.
Yeah.
I have a bunch.
Oh, go for it.
See it.
So I read through the EAP, I think it's great.
Yeah.
I just have a couple questions on it specifically. So I noticed that a bunch of the maps are dated 2020, even though we updated the dates. Did we, or the header page is updated, did we actually rerun any of those analyses, like the things that are in the appendixes around like the breach analysis and stuff like that? Or
No, I mean, I went through this, obviously a consultant put this together. I mean, my professional opinion is I don't think anything has changed that much in town.
That was the follow-up question.
Yeah, I just don't think I mean, if we had major developments and, you know, and, or different projects that went on in town, it might have changed things, but at this point, I think it kind of stays the same.
Sure. The other thing that was in the emergency action plan is it recommended a tabletop exercise with police and fire and an annual public meeting with the downstream residents. Have either of those things happened, or have?
Well, the fire police, we had that for our training. The notification of the residents, I've not done that.
Okay, I think that should happen.
I mean, that's something we can do. I didn't think about, maybe after this is going to be part of the notification, but I don't know if that was done actually in 2020 at all.
Okay, yeah, I don't know either. I just think
Yeah.
it's kind of very specifically laid out in there.
Yeah, of
how
course,
we
yeah,
should be handling that notification and
Yeah.
meeting with them, so I think we should try to make sure that
Yeah.
happens in a timely fashion.
And I want to kind of research to see if it was done. 'Cause
Yeah.
I wonder if it was done back then. Or another thing we can think about is just doing an annual letter to remind people, because who knows who lives there and stuff like that. But I think that might be something that we should consider, an annual letter to these homes and saying, FYI, don't forget, you know, this threat does exist.
Yep.
Right. In answer, Steve, just quickly, I don't think residents near that dam were ever notified, because when we were first looking at the fix-it thing, and I went over there to look at it, and the Morrises were home, and I spoke to them, like, oh, yeah, what's going on? I'm like, well. funny
Yeah, I
you
guess
should-
where my concern stems from is our emergency action plan says that we'll hold a public meeting with them annually, and if we're not
No, of course
doing
not,
that,
yeah.
then that's kind of, we should
That's
either
fair.
take it out
Right.
of the plan or do it.
Right, one thought for that maybe would be to hold that annual meeting over at the South Fire Station.
Sure,
In the
yeah.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
You might get, or, you know, the Congregational St.
Yeah, I think
James is
it's a
there.
great
Either or, they both have good
And I
space.
think that's a great idea. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, this was done when I just finished this in, like, say, January, so like,
Yeah.
we're just kind of
Yeah.
trying to get it to as many people as
Oh, yeah.
possible.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And then, I guess just two other quick questions. We're still the dam is still getting inspected every 6 months?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
when was the last one and when is the next one, do we know?
I don't know, but it does, we have, so part of, our next step is to figure out if they're gonna replace it or they're gonna repair it. Now, to do that, that's a little bit, that's beyond my level of understanding on dams. Obviously, I have some background, but they're specialists, and so they're gonna guide us through, they have the contract to guide us through that process with grants and conservation, and then part of that is also the inspection contract that they have.
Yeah, and it's actually a great segue into the last question that I had, which was, you know, when we did the fix last year, we used some portion of Chapter 90
Yes.
funds for that. Obviously, we're going to talk about paving
Yeah, yeah.
next, and we know there's already issues there. As we're going through that process of figuring out, you know, what a permanent solution looks like, whether it's pulling the dam out, repairing it, replacing it, I don't know. I think we just need, I guess it's more of a statement than a question. I think we just need to be really aware of the impact on Chapter 90 and also tracking, you know, what other funding sources we are either applying for or qualifying for, so that we understand what impact fixing the dam might have on other stuff we need to do in town.
Yeah, so from my understanding is, the state or the federal government, there's a lot of funds available and grants, but most of them are going to be, they want them to be used to remove dams.
Yep.
And that's what they want to do. So they understand that these dams, especially these old historic dams that have no use anymore, so they're given funding for that. And our consultant, I think did one in Ipswich. They wanted us to go and see that it was dammed and it became a culvert. So, and then the other thing is, you have to think about that stream goes all the way down to Merrimack River, so every time you dam a river, it creates a stop for fish and stuff like that.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we don't cannibalize the pavement
and-
management program too much to fix the dam.
And we did it already, and not only that, we spent 150 out of paving, Chapter 90 money, but we also spent in-kind money, because we did as much work as we can in-house to not use that. So we did spend a lot of time, and it's not done yet. We still need to go out there and patch some pavement,
Yeah, so like I said, I just want to make sure as we
Yeah.
figure out what the final solution looks like, we're tracking that closely and
Yeah.
just understanding what other sources of funding we're pulling in so that we can offset against we're not just leveraging entirely Chapter 90 funding.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I have.
All right, excellent. Ed, did you have any questions
I
for
don't have
Arthur
any
on this one?
questions.
Jason?
No, thank you very much.
Kathy?
I just had a couple of quick questions. You said it gets inspected every 6 months, right? So now we have like a pile of rocks pushed up, so you can't see if the wall's getting pushed out anymore.
Well, that was suggested by the engineers.
Oh, I know
Yeah.
that. But my question then is, how do they know if anything's going wrong?
Well, I mean,
I mean, until an obvious thing happens.
I
up
don't
the
know what,
road.
if I can.
Like, they can't see the rocks being pushed out now, right? Because we pushed all those bolts.
Yeah, but we put, if
Should
you've
be-
seen the amount, if you've been out there, you've seen the amount.
Oh, yeah, it's a
Amount
lot.
of stone we put up there. They've told us, they did a, now,
Wow.
as engineers, they did a calculation and told us, use this much stone.
Yeah, it was
And
a
so
lot.
they said, so I rely on them telling us, because we put, the dimensions of all those rocks weren't done in random. They
Right.
were kind of put in as much as they spec'd us out to do.
Okay, so when they inspect, what,
They go out there and make sure it's not getting worse. They can look in other spots.
they just look around to see that, they know what to look for?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
The dam itself is, if you stand down where the stream is, how high is it? 20 feet, 30?
Oh, maybe about 30 feet. I
30
think.
feet high. I think most people in town don't think of it as a dam, because until you stand down and look at it, you don't realize it is. And how much, I know it said it in your report somewhere, but how much water does that hold back?
I do have a number.
It's in there somewhere,
I
yeah.
calculated it because we were gonna.
Yeah.
Actually, I calculated it because at some point I felt like one of our options would have been to pump the whole thing, if we needed to.
Oh, if we got into trouble.
We got into trouble, but I do have, but it does, I mean, Mike will tell you on conservation, it does have a significant pond around there. and-
Right, so it's a lot more water than
Yeah,
just
but
a
there's,
little,
but there's also a lot of sediment and sludge in there too, and and I was talking to Mike about it earlier, that it looks, as full it looks, I think when it goes down a little bit, you can see it's a lot of sludgy.
As part of the report that was put together by GZA that we mentioned in one of our latest updates, there is a sediment plan and gives you all of those details. So
Right.
I had mentioned sharing it with you, but it was a very large document, but I just made another note, so I'll share that with you again this evening. And you'll be able to see all of that since it was
Right.
part of their analysis that was done as part of their review.
so like in a catastrophic event and if the dam failed, would we envision like the road would cave in, the water would just come?
Yeah, so
rushing
this is the
through?
thing,
Is
like.
that kind of what you would
Yeah,
think?
well, this is, and look, and that, I think a lot of us
Yeah.
have that Hollywood picture of the dam failing and.
Yeah.
But you're speaking to GZA, which is our, and you can also have them come in and they would like to do that and talk to you about it. He says it could be like very, very slow
Okay,
or one at once. So it's like, there's no answer for it, and that's from his experience. But as shown in that map,
yeah,
that water will, if it all rushes, it will reach all those houses,
Right.
even onto Main Street.
right. And so there, just last quick question, then
problem.
I'll get you off the hook. There is still on the table the option to consider removing those logs, which would that remove the dam? When you talk about a town that removed the dam,
If we remove the dam, the dam is completely gone and it's a culvert, and it's just almost like a bridge where the stream just runs smooth.
Oh, so you would take out all of those rocks and all
Oh, no,
that?
you're talking about, it looked like a brand-new structure, like, almost like a bridge or like a giant concrete culvert, probably 15 feet high, 30 feet wide, and just water would go through it like like it would have,
Right.
like it would have 150 years ago, just naturally.
So you would take away the rocks and the fill
Any
in?
structure, yeah, it would just look like
Okay.
a bridge almost, but it would be a culvert.
Oh, okay.
So it would not retain water anymore.
Right.
So
So it's more than just pulling those logs out? and
No,
letting run-
it would-
You would be taking out all of the dam, those rocks?
yeah, it would not retain water anymore. It would just be a pass-through.
Okay.
And that's what the conversation is going to be. I don't know if it's a conversation for tonight
Yeah.
or anytime, but the thing is, if you don't replace that, if you don't repair that now,
Yeah.
it will be removal and then just replace it with another structure, like
Right, but you wouldn't just build a bridge over it, you would remove all of
move
the
everything.
dam
Yeah.
itself,
And
the
then
rocks.
yeah, and you're talking about, and that's a very
Huge.
significant project.
Yeah, I think so.
Do it, roads closed, a lot of money. I mean, it's not a
Oh, yeah,
simple thing.
can imagine. Okay, thank you so much.
Yep.
Yeah, the only question I had was a little bit about the removal, because I remember last week I saw an article somewhere about $1 million in state grants about removing town-owned dams on Johnson's Creek. Again, I know that's moving forward and this is on the action
Yeah.
plan, but it seems like that's always,
Yeah, so I mean, yeah,
Brought up, yeah.
there's a lot of grants that are offered by,
Yeah.
and the amount of different, I don't know if town administrator can speak about how many, there's different agencies offering different types of grants, because you're not only going to have the actually building of it, you have the design of it, you have to have the conservation aspect and permitting aspect of it, and that stuff gets pricey, and it takes a long time. This is why I said, like, I was joking that we have 30 years, but I don't know, you speak to other communities, it takes 5-6 years to do this type of thing,
right,
you
right.
know?
No, but thank you, it was good to see, and I agree with Steve sort of coming up with those meetings, getting the neighbors
Yeah, I think
involved,
at minimum, we should send a letter to let them know.
Yeah.
That's something we can do on a yearly basis, just to be like, your house will be impacted. And then to have a meeting where and how, like, I'll be more than willing to speak, but I just don't know, like, the logistics.
I would just say if we're not going to have a meeting, then we should update the emergency action plan to say that we're going to send a letter and not have a meeting, right?
No, we can send a letter saying that there'll be a meeting.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's fair.
there we go, the
That's
invitation.
what I mean. I mean, we got to establish contact with these people at
Yes.
some
Sure.
point.
Yeah.
And then we can't just go out there and say, you know what, we're having a meeting, these 10 houses. We got to send some correspondence with them and say,
Yeah, so no letter to publicize the meeting, not in lieu of the meeting.
yeah, no, I'm saying, like, let's send them a letter and say, let's, we want to have a meeting on the, or, if they can't come speak to me.
Sure.
I'll run down what you need to know. You don't want to scare people, but they should know. Like, if I live downstream from a dam that's, have a significant hazard, you're right. Like, I should know, and that's maybe something that we should move to do that.
And I think that's really important too, because some of those are rentals, right? So
Well,
that's,
another thing too. It's like, who do I call? Do I
Right.
call the residents? Do I call the residents, or do I call the owner? Like,
Yeah.
it'll take a while to figure out
Oh, yeah.
who's who.
yeah,
And what? I mean, it's 10 houses. You can knock on doors, like you
Yeah.
can, but
Yeah.
you also don't. You also have to. In my experience, you don't want to be an alarmist either, because
Yes.
then you don't want. Then someone wants to sell their house, like, oh, I can't. So you have things to.
So one of the things we can do as well is that as part of our grants and project page, we do have information about active projects going on throughout the community, and we do have the Salem Street Dam, so we consistently update the sources of funding that we're receiving and the work that we're doing on the dam and the timeline, and provide an additional information such as the original presentation, the preliminary design report, the GZA report that I just happened to send over to you, the EAP will be on there, and we can also use that as a way to directly communicate with those surrounding residents as well as to what's happening in any future public engagement, so that they have all of that information at their disposal. So just another mechanism as a way to communicate with folks and make sure that they're actively being updated, in addition to the active outreach of calling, emailing, letters, et cetera.
Yeah.
But even those, even just those houses, the neighbors to those houses
Yeah, you see,
would be impacted because, as you said, all the utilities. So it's almost like it should be kind of a neighborhood meeting. And I guess you can identify the houses you think, these would be our first evacuations if we ever had to get to them.
Yeah.
I think they're.
But we'd be telling most of you people in this area to pack a bag and get the heck out right
yeah,
now.
you'd have to draw
Yeah.
the line of delineation of
Yeah.
where, because if that dam fails catastrophically all at once, then half the town is not gonna have
Correct.
gas or
Right.
water. so,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
okay.
And I cook a lot, so it's really important that that stays together,
See, I'm the opposite, so I mean,
for the record.
from.
I know.
look over
I
to Jason's.
know.
He's good with the
Amazon will be a
barbecue.
day late, you know?
Right, right. No, thank you so much. All
Thank you.
right, don't go too far.
He'll be
You're up
right-
now. Oh, do you move here for that
No
one?
presentation for this one.
Okay.
On purpose, I said, if this was kind of, we can kind of discuss, actual.
Okay. So next up, pavement management plan presentation and discussion by Arthur. Included in our packet is that pavement management summary report.
Yep.
Yeah, so, so this is kind of a different, I know I've done a bunch of presentations on pavement, and I think this report, is kind of a different type of thing. I think it's kind of more of a document that we can use as a guide going forward. And actually give you actual answers. I know last time we came here, there was a discussion about paving and how much it would cost for us to actually make a dent and actually improve our system.
Yeah.
Our network of roads, and this is what this report is. I don't know if you, obviously, if you had a chance to read it, this was a kind of a standard report that a lot of towns have, so it's what we use as a base, but also ours is much more in detail, telling us exactly how much money we would actually need to use, and not only need to increase our score, but also how much we can use, we need to pay more miles. So it's very direct information in different funding scenarios. I can walk you through a little bit of it.
Yeah, that'd be
and
great.
You guys can try to take a bunch of questions. So first we have the introduction. Gives us kind of the overall background of the town a little bit. So this report was put together by me. I wrote it, and I used a lot of data that we have a consultant that we work for, which is civil, and they were able to generate a lot of numbers, and that I can then backwards work into looking at different funding scenarios. So that's what kind of the introduction, the pavement management program background. So it gives us the background. So the pavement management program that I know there was paving going on before I got here, but I kind of formalized it and called it a pavement management program. It started in 2024. And the significant parts of that program are, I have our roadway condition assessment, capital pavement plan, and an annual roadway resurfacing contract. There's one very important thing that, when you start looking at the numbers here, when I talk about paving, I'm not talking about just going in and we just pave the top coat and then the town highway department does anything else. This number, the amount of money we use is encompassing all parts of the road construction, whether it be curbing or line, or painting the lines, whether you're reclaiming the road, resurfacing, fixing the manholes, you're paying police details. That's what that number is. It's an all-inclusive number.
Yeah.
And that's very important because it gives you, you're able to now estimate for each year, instead of not trying to make you mouse it and have, highway do a little portion of it or anything else. So that's why that number is important for us.
Right. I sort of like what you start on page 9, because I feel like that's where our discussion ended the last time. Like,
Yeah.
you said, with what we're doing, we're not really keeping up. We're making a dent in it, but we're not
Yeah, so.
keeping up with
so I
the
think that
deterioration.
on Page 8 is the funding scenarios.
Yes.
That's one of the most important
Yeah.
aspects of this. So the blue line right now is $374,000. Now, and that's all money that comes from Chapter 90.
Yep.
So that's what we use this year, and it's been lower previously.
Oh, What's he gonna do? Oh.
Start over.
Oh. None of us saw it, sorry.
So,
Worst.
3774 is what we've been using previous years.
Yep,
And actually, the last 2 years and the years before that, it was like 250.
yep,
So that, when you're doing that, you can't, so our average PCI for the town is 68 when you drive our road networks, right?
yep,
So we could never increase that
yeah,
with the current funding,
yep.
right? So we could never go, even though 68 is not the worst, it is.
Not the
But it's
worst.
only going to be going down. Within 5 years, we'll be in the 64 range. Now, if you go to 500K, you're still on the decline, but it's slower, right? So you're still kind of, you're still going in the negative in our assessment. And then you go to 600, where you actually start looking at a positive increase.
Yeah,
And then you go to 750, where it's more, and then 900, obviously, and then 1.2 million is like, obviously, not reality, but that's like,
that'd be great.
on the, on paper, that's like, that's what it would be, that's what the numbers say.
Yeah,
So right now, obviously, looking at our roads, and we're trying to make an impact, it's very difficult, because obviously, looking at the numbers, the money's just not enough to do that.
right,
Even though we're doing a lot of roads, and you can see what we've done in the past 8 years, we've done, 2 years, and we've done a lot, we're never really making a huge impact as we would like. But I mean, at the end of the day, though, this is not only a Groveland problem, this is everywhere. Roads are getting worse, and funding is not taking you as far, because obviously, there's not only, the funding doesn't also stay the same, now you have inflation, contract prices are gonna go up.
yeah,
Asphalt is an oil-based product, so that's always gonna go up.
yeah,
So it's much more than just, it doesn't say one price over the 5 years, so there's other things to think about. The other thing is, if there's a graph on page 5, I think this is an important graph too, because it gives us an assessment of what we actually have. Now,
yeah,
if you look at the good roads we have, the satisfactory roads and the fair roads, that's about 64% of our roads are good, satisfactory, or fair. So we don't have terrible roads. It's just that, there's very poor, serious, and failed roads within that range.
Yeah.
So but it's good to see it on the graph formation, what we do have. I don't know if it's, and then I think the second, there's 2 analysis. One shows the analysis on how much money we can use to increase our average PCI, right?
Yeah.
So you can see that on page 9, where you have, we're at 6, you start getting low by 2030. That's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is actually how much more we can pave with the money that we're given. So on the second analysis, which is the funding versus capacity, you can kind of see that we can, right now, we pave about 2.17 miles. If you go to 600, you'd pave 3.49 miles. You pave 900, if you had 900 annually, you'd pave 5.2 miles. So that gives you the actual increase of how much more money you can get.
yeah.
Not to quote Market Basket, but you get more for your dollar.
Yeah, but can I ask a question on
Yeah.
that? So we do, you said 2.1, 2.2 lane miles a year?
Yeah, so if you look at the last Appendix A, right?
Yep.
It says, that's where that money will get you.
Yep.
We, in 2025, we did 2.39 miles, and then this year, we had an extra 100,000 that was given to us for supplemental, so we did end up doing 500,000, so we paved 2.92 lane miles.
Okay, so average that out and figure we have, what, about 100 lane miles?
Yeah, so
Yeah, 45 years
exactly,
to
so-
replace
Yeah.
to redo all the pavement? And what's pavement last, 15 years maybe?
Yeah, so you never go. But there's different strategies you can use.
Yep.
There's preservation strategies that we don't use quite yet. It's something we're going to start doing, which means crack sealing, which can give you 10 more years on a road. We can do micro sealing, micro surfacing, which can give you more time on a road that needs. So we can start start bringing these different methods in as the program kind of builds itself. But
And I
as of
think-
now- Yeah, go ahead.
I don't want to infer too much, but I think if I read the report right, 600K is kind of where we need to be to get things to stop declining, 750-ish to see actual
Well,
improvement.
600 will start getting
Yeah.
better. We'll be in the upswing. That's the number.
And that,
That's like, what,
yeah.
225K
Yeah.
more a year?
right, that in addition to like the 374 that we
So
get.
as part of this, working with Arthur and the town accountant, we did put together some scenarios and
Yeah.
some hypothetical approaches for us to be able to come up with the 600,000 and push this program forward a little bit more quickly.
Yep.
So I'm not sure if Arthur wants to finish his presentation and I can share with you that spreadsheet, or if you
Yeah.
want to share with that now, or what would you?
Yeah,
like to do?
that's it. I mean, the only other things I wanted to kind of point out, some things in here that, if you look at that Appendix A, you can see the roads that we did. You can also see what their PCI rating was.
Yeah.
So that you know that's what the PCI rating was, and that's what the work we did on it. And it kind of makes sense. Not, the PCIs obviously are numbers, but we also look at it in real life, but those kind of give you it also gives you you can estimate kind of in your mind how long a road is and how many miles it is. Like, for example, like we did Dana Drive, right? So that's 0.15 mile, right? So you can keep that in your head, you can know that so you can do 10 of those.
Yeah.
You can do 10 of those over a year, like, so you can, that's how you kind of backwards estimate, but you can kind of, it's easy to, like Center Street, we did about half a mile there, and then King Street about half a mile there, so that's things, and then, that's, I don't know if you have any other questions on the report itself. If you have, if there's anything in there. I did use cost of inflation is 5% annually,
Yeah,
which is a little bit more than obviously 2%, but again, it's a petroleum product.
It's
Labor
realistic.
keeps getting higher. So that's where I kind of went with this report, but I think, for those that are watching on TV, or I have this on our website,
yeah,
so I think residents should be able to read this. And what we're also going to be setting up on our paving website itself, we're going to have a little form they inquire about, asking about when their road's going to get paved.
yeah.
And then if it's not on the list, I can give them options and tell them why, or, give them give them an opportunity to give us some input on, if, why is my road getting paved, and maybe they can show us pictures on there and stuff like that, so to make it a little bit more interactive.
Okay.
Can I just say
Yeah.
one more?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I don't want to monopolize all
No,
the time.
no,
but
it's okay.
I do just want to say, I think it's great that we're able to put something like this together in-house now,
Yep.
as opposed to having to bring a consultant in, or
Yep.
somebody else to do this, so that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we have a good, this is what, with the software the company that we use, and they didn't generate this for, but they actually give me the data I need,
Yeah, that's great.
right? And I can manipulate it and make it what, for our community, and not just, because they'll give us some generic stuff. And it's like, well, it's not, so it's easy for us now to, and that's what our goal is, to be able to do that, so I appreciate you saying that,
And I just add to you, this is definitely something that residents are asking for. And I mean, they ask for it in all different ways. One way I've heard so often is, well, we can put in a skateboard park, but we can't pave our road, my roads. And it does no good to explain to somebody that's living on a road that's becoming
course.
untenable that the skateboard park comes from another pot of money. But I think the bottom line is, we used to have a plan, a road study plan, and this is now a great
Yep.
start. And if we can finesse adding money to the road budget and show the roads that are being done because of this without raising taxes, that's a win-win for everybody.
And I gave you guys access to the civil stuff
Yep.
itself, so you can go on there, like, point on the road, and they'll tell you. And that program's only getting better. They're actually, the other good thing about that is that previously, towns where I previously used to work, they used to get their roads assessed every 3 to 5 years, right? This software, this company does it every year. So we'll start seeing progress. So, progress or no progress, like you'll start seeing the changes that we do every year. But if you look at that map, you can see the dark red roads, those are the ones we need to start, they'll start disappearing,
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
so yeah, that's kind of where, if you guys, I don't know if there's any other questions.
Jason, anything?
No, I think it's great. I mean, I just wanted to point out that the graph itself was for over a 4-year period, which is a relatively short time.
Yeah,
So that was a large increase over a very short time. So I think the residents should
Yeah.
appreciate that a lot.
In government time. Very quick.
Yeah, very quick.
yeah.
And Ed, did you have any questions for Arthur so far?
The company that comes in and check these roads every year,
Yep.
what does that cost a year?
So that's actually funded out of Chapter 90. It's $7,500 a year. And as they do it, they do a road assessment, meaning they go in and drive and they give us a score of the number. But they also, while they're doing it, they'll pick up other like utilities or signs or markings, and then they map it for us. So for example, how great the software is, and this is why I think I picked it for the town. I can go on there now and type in, how many potholes we have in town, and it will generate that for me. Or how many utility trenches do we have that were paved, and it will generate that information for me. So the software uses AI, and it picks up all this stuff as it's doing it. So for our small town, it gives me the ability to do it on our own instead of me having to pay a consultant for all these 1 and 2
Right.
questions. But if you do have a chance, it's really worth the software. You can go on there now and you can ask your questions and say, how many stop signs do we have in town? And it'll tell us. So it's given me the ability to start to have this stuff, to have this knowledge, which would take me a long time to get, if I did it by hand.
Now, do they, probably not,
Yeah.
but do they, when they're looking at the signs,
Yeah.
do they look at, like this time of year, the signs that are blocked by trees, by the branches of the trees
Well-
pulled out? We had that problem when they were redoing the School Street, that they put it, the state did it, they do it out of Arlington, and they don't come out and look at the
Yeah.
job. So what they did was they put signs in, and which was fine until the trees branched out. And then they were covered by the signs.
Well, a
The
couple of
signs
things
were
on
covered
that.
by the branches.
A couple of things on that. These assessments are done usually in the fall because of that reason. Also, that flyovers are always done in the fall for that reason so we wouldn't catch on that. But we do have a brush machine now that we can, for the roadways too, so we can go out. But, I mean, if you know of any areas, we'll do it. It's just that they do pick up the signs and tell us what they are, a stop sign, but they don't, there's not an attribute that says it's blocked.
I haven't noticed any, so they must be doing a decent job.
We in-house, the highway department, we do a good job at going out and cutting back the bushes. We have a new machine, especially on School Street. So, but we do have to get the corners, like we get the corners of a lot of these side streets, that's one of our major problems. So,
All right. No further questions or comments?
Yeah, but not on this.
Oh,
right.
uh-oh.
You got an area on School Street that the sidewalk is lifted and.
Oh, yes.
And I don't know if it's been repaired, the one behind the dog park, which had lifted down there.
That one hasn't been repaired. The ones on School Street were from the gas company. And we were able to see them, identify it on the permit that it was them, and then they came and fixed it. So they fixed 2 over there on School Street. But yeah, that was it looked like a yeah.
Exactly.
Which I've never seen that happen before, and I was trying to figure this out because the gas company put in a service or repaired a service there, and they just didn't backfill correctly,
Oh, geez.
and it popped, I think, during the winter time. So they repaired those. This one over here, that sidewalk, we're aware of that, and it's on our list to actually repair that. But it's just a little bit like this. Like it's
Yeah, and then
trip hazard.
up on Salem Street where that new storage facility is going, just beyond that, same side of the road, the curb has been split now for a couple of years.
I can take a look at that. Is it granite
Yes.
from the plow or something, maybe?
I don't think so, because it happened before winter.
Okay. Well, I can look at that. Yeah, within our department, we're trying to make sure that our permitting, we have permits and people are, when we see something on the street, like a failing collapsed trench or a sidewalk, we can find the utility company and hold them responsible. And I think that's part of our job, because if not, we're gonna have to end up fixing it ourselves.
So that one on School Street, is that the gas company's responsible for?
Yeah, and they fixed it. Yeah.
Oh, they already fixed it?
They fixed it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Since you kind of talked about the different, issues, some issues that Ed brought up, I noticed a few things. What is currently the best way if residents have something they see, like a raised sidewalk like that, for them to get in touch with the highway?
Oh, so we have it on our on the highway website. We have that, the work order, or, I call it a work order system, but you can just submit a problem, and we'll get it. I get the email automatically, and then I have the ability to send it out to the highway department, the roadways.
And that's the preferred method, is use that work order system?
Well, yeah, if you can call me, you can email me, I get them all ways, but that way I think is the easiest way. You can send a picture, and then I have a record of it.
I think the biggest thing with that system is the audit trail that it produces, because it timestamps when the resident contacts you, then it timestamps when Arthur receives it, and then when Arthur assigns it, and then how long it takes to do the work, so you can actually get a more data-driven approach. But of course, if somebody were to call, we could easily just enter it for them if there was an issue and they didn't have access to a computer.
Yeah, so the system works great. I get a lot of people do use it, and I think it's on the highway website. So if somebody goes to the highway department, who looks for my name first, they'll, instead of calling me, and they'll just go in and type in the problem, right?
Yes.
So it really works good like that. We are gonna probably maybe advertise a little bit more on the website, maybe on social media. It's like, use this, but I think I think every town should have something like this in place nowadays. Again, we're gonna do one on the paving one too, where someone really just wants to inquire about their road being paved, so maybe do a separate one like that too. So,
Yeah, I think if we could get something posted that we could then kind of share out further, that would be.
yeah, so I'm not sure how many people are aware of it, but I mean, I know people, I definitely use it, people use it a lot.
And it's an easy form, just so everyone knows. It's not a like
Oh, no,
45-question survey, name, email, phone, like location of issue, type of issue.
Yep.
Describe issue or work request. You can upload a file if you need to. Check you're
And I
not a
designed that
robot.
for that purpose. I needed it
Yeah.
to be simple and,
Yes.
I mean, there's other programs you can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on that make it way too complicated, and the residents.
Forget it.
I'm done, I'll just call you.
Right.
You know.
Yes.
And I'd rather have this, because then, again, I can just generate a list and say, all right, when was this work done and how was it done? And I can forward it to the foreman. Like, and that's
Yep.
the key of doing
Does
it.
the resident, after they fill that in, do they get some sort of confirmation?
They don't get a confirmation as of yet,
Okay.
but, that's something we can kind of work towards. I
Yeah.
mean, I
We
think a
can
lot
send
of,
an automatic response once
Does
it does, if that's how you want to set it
Yeah.
up. So we can work
Yeah.
on that.
Sometimes that can help people, like you give them the warm and fuzzies, knowing, okay, it was received.
yeah, I email people back all the time.
You do,
What-
you work 24/7?
No, not
Don't be telling people that.
tomorrow, like, if I get one in tomorrow, I'll email them back and
Yes.
say, we'll take care of this, or
Yeah.
like, you can, the email's on this, so I just email them
Right.
back, like, yo, we'll take care of this, or I have questions, give me a call.
Yeah.
So I pretty much get in contact with them, and sometimes I call them, like, can you explain a
Yeah.
little bit more?
Yeah.
Or sometimes you have to, like, I think a little bit of barrier so that people are not, they can actually write it out instead of just calling me up
Yeah.
and venting.
Yes. It's a therapy line as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Excellent. But yeah, I see it on the site. It's very easy.
Yeah, so we're gonna,
Bold, yellow.
yeah, so
right there.
we're gonna maybe advertise a little bit more on our social
Yeah.
media, and then, and maybe put on, like, a front page a little bit more. I do have signs, if you go by my office, there's signs, right there, you can scan.
Excellent.
And then there's, on the board up here, you can see it, so we're trying to put it in more places, and you can scan it with your smartphone and stuff like that, and email us, so.
If you get T-shirts made, just have a big QR code on your back. Just throw that out there.
Yeah,
Walking billboard.
yeah, we'll put a billboard downtown.
Yeah. Oh, no. No, but that's excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't want Arthur to go too far. So in regards to some of the funding mechanisms that we had discussed, we, again, worked together to put together a spreadsheet, mainly with the town accountant, to kind of give us an understanding of potentially what we could do. Again, this is all hypothetical, because the main issue that we're talking about, we don't know. We don't know the economic conditions that we're going to find ourselves in. We do not know currently what our current year, fiscal year 26 free cash certification will be. We do not know if there is going to be an issue that comes up later on this year that's going to require us to deplete our reserves. So a lot of this is on hypothetical scenarios. It doesn't take into consideration that if the water department is replacing water main, that there could be ways for streets to get improved that don't necessarily require us to use Chapter 90 funding or other funding. It doesn't take into consideration our working with the complete streets, shared streets, safe routes to school, other grant programs that would allow for additional funding opportunities to enhance our pavement management program. But it does talk a little bit about what we talked about last time, or maybe 2 meetings ago, where we kind of really tried to hyper-focus on the fact that we didn't want to go back to the taxpayers. Was there a way that we could try and further the program along by using what we currently have? So with that being said, I'm going to share with you a spreadsheet that gives you a little bit of an understanding of what we could potentially do using free cash, and then again, as we had discussed, potentially utilizing the National Grid monies that we would be receiving over the next 3 years, and 3 years only. So this is the summary page. I'm just gonna make it a little bit bigger for you. That you'll see. Is that big enough, or you want me to try and go?
No, that's good. Yeah.
To kind of show the progression over the next few fiscal years. And it shows what we take in for Chapter 90, assuming that as a steady value, which could potentially increase based upon the allocations from the state. It does not take into consideration any supplemental monies that would be granted, like Arthur had mentioned, that we received the prior fiscal year, which is about $130,000 that we received. And it takes into consideration the National Grid contract as it escalates over the next 3 years. And as you see, it falls off in that 4th and 5th year, since again, that would not be something that we would be counting on, because those are one-time monies that we would be assuming as part of the calculation. So with the report that Arthur had presented, we really kind of, again, honed in on that $600,000 threshold as being a way that we could make a larger dent into the pavement management program. And that, again, as we said, is all assumptions, because we're not taking into consideration inflation, construction costs, or changes that may come into play. But as Arthur mentioned as part of his plan, if he's able to move further along with making those roadway improvements, they will be less costly, because then we will be putting in new techniques such as crack sealing and others, which will prolong the life of the roadway. So we are taking that into consideration. And then, as you'll see, again, the first fiscal year was a little bit more challenging to get to the 600, but as Arthur has mentioned in either this presentation or prior presentations, there is still a holdover on Chapter 90 funds from this fiscal year. So just because he received the allocation, he didn't spend the entire allocation. So we would be able to get to, hypothetically, the 600,000 if we were to try and get a steady flow of, or commitment of 600,000 for the next 5 years.
Okay.
So in order to figure out exactly whether or not and how that impacts our budget overall, which is our big concern, is when we take a look at more of our free cash allocation. So as you'll see, we have our fiscal year free cash certification, and these are estimates for the upcoming fiscal years. We do not have our free cash certification. We only have our fiscal year 25. We do not have fiscal year 26, 27, 28, 29.
Could you zoom that in a little bit? That's fine.
So again, we're making assumptions here, just trying to build on what we could potentially forecast for the future. So then you'll also see that we have a reoccurring financial policy and an allocation of free cash to reduce the tax rate in the form of our OPEB payment. So we make a payment of $85,000. As part of our goals, we're looking to include that as part of our operating budget and take it out of the free cash allocation, as it's more of a sound financial allocation annually, and it's more dependable, and it is an obligation that we're going to have to pay for many years to come. So we are looking to reduce that the next few fiscal years, as you'll see that decrease by $10,000. Obviously, we wouldn't be able to take it completely out, so that's why we're doing a gradual decrease. Then we also have what we set aside for our reserves. Some of these are set through our financial policies in regards to how much monies we aim to put aside every fiscal year. So we're usually aim for 5% of the reserves to go into capital stabilization. Those two, this last fiscal year, we were able to put a lot more, as you'll see, the 125. Typically, historically, we've only been able to put in $50,000 because most of our free cash certifications were $700,000 or less. So this last fiscal year, we made a conscious effort to increase those. We also added a stabilization account with the school capital stabilization account. So if we were to go back to what our financial policies had put in place in terms of our goals, we would be reducing what we had for fiscal year 25 and trying to just hit those targets, which again frees up the additional monies that we could put towards paving and getting us closer to that $600,000. We've also included, so that we're being fully transparent, what we set aside for the personal buyback and what we would expect to see in the coming fiscal years as well. So below is an example of what we have for the fiscal year 25 capital outlay. Sorry, fiscal year 26 capital outlay. So those are essentially the projects that we funded from free cash. Those would be a sacrifice if we are putting an allocation of about 75, 100, 226 towards the paving, as you can see in that highlighted paving section. So that means that's less money that could go towards those capital initiatives. One of the hardest things that I've identified as part of the capital improvement process is, unfortunately, when asking departments what their capital needs are, they're really only giving me what it is that they need next year. And I've been trying to explain that the more information I have about your longer-term goals, the better we can plan and forecast for achieving those goals, instead of saying, oh, I need a new this year. Well, that's great, but if you told me that 2 years ago, I could have probably already had it in the budget, and it would be a lot easier. And it's not when you just tell me what you need for that upcoming fiscal year. So we're working on that. Slowly but surely, we're getting there. But you'll see, again, if we were to take those monies that we had in free cash and set them aside from the paving, those other projects would be put on the back burner if we're making a commitment to funding at those levels. That being said, we also have our financial policy of making sure that the reserves for the free cash at the end of our allocation is 3% of the general fund. So we have always been able to hit that to some extent because we round up, but technically we are a little below that threshold. So with the scenarios as presented, it would keep us about essentially where we are today. So going back to the original plan on the summary page, again, we're looking at coupling the Chapter 90 funds with the free cash allocation, as well as the National Grid monies for the license agreement for the first 3 years. And we believe that through that sustainable approach, you would be able to come up with the $600,000 to further improve the pavement management program. This is just one scenario. We could try and work a scenario where we're using our stabilization funds. We could go into our capital stabilization funds and see if we wanted to generate or to allocate a certain amount. We could go into our other reserves to see if there's other ways for us to increase that money. We could try and do a one lump sum and couple a bunch of funding sources and try and get it all out of the way. But based upon the way that the pavement management program has been going and the long-term sustainability, we'd assume that a goal, or at least trying to have a goal of trying to reach that 600 would be a more reasonable approach. So again, all hypothetical, just to have the conversation. Nothing's been determined. Once we do have our free cash certification and we start our capital planning for the upcoming fiscal year, we can provide a little bit more of a concrete understanding of what we would propose to the board to move forward with, that we think that would allow the pavement management program to move forward, obviously in consultation with Arthur, to see what he would be able to accomplish with those funds. But again, this is just something that we had thought would help, again, further the conversation that we've been having for the last few weeks.
But that extra, what is it, 430K that we're getting from National Grid over 3 years kind of lets us bump up that without hitting the free cash as hard.
Exactly. Because again, it's those one-time funds, and we're just looking to get ourselves in a better position so that we can slowly taper off.
If we were, this is a question for Arthur, if we were to go that route, you know, so we say, here's 600K to do paving, I mean, just given, you know, the short paving season and stuff like that, like, is there enough time to hit those markers?
Definitely. So the way that we're arranged now, we have a 5-year capital paving plan. So first of all, so the roads are there, we're able to shift them up. So we already know what roads we're gonna do, right? So we would just kind of, all right, we have an extra 150,000, I can move up 2 more roads for the new year. But our contractors would easily be able to do it.
Okay.
You know, their capacity is high enough to do that. But yeah, so we're set up for it. So if there was an issue where there was more money to do more paving, would be a very easy transition to be like, oh, let's just do this road now, let's do this road now. Because right now, obviously, we're a little limited.
Yep.
Yes. Yep. I like this approach on so many bases. First, the OPEB should become part of our operating cost. And so you're backing it out, right? That makes sense in order to fit this in. And then to start to show this as a capital expense, right? Against the other capital needs is really important because, you know, there's always going to be more capital requests than we can fund. And the roads have just been pushed and pushed and pushed to the back burner. And Arthur, you've become like a great advocate to have a road plan because you're giving us every piece of information we could ever need, not just us, but residents as well, and the answers to the questions of why isn't my road done? And now this has made it blatantly clear that if we just sit on it, yeah, we won't be a destitute town, but we're not going to be, 75% good fare and fantastic roads. We're not going to get there. We're not going to get there. So if we want to start to show improvement in our roads, which I think is what residents are demanding for the amount of taxes they pay, this is a fair and great way to approach it. And as you say, if things change or something happens on roads, yeah, there's a little shift, you adjust, but then afterwards we get the update, the town gets the update, and we all know. I mean, this is so obvious about what's happening and why. To put another $200,000, $300,000 into the roads makes absolute sense. And to put it in there so that it's competing with other needs is incredibly important. Even to the point of the school's stabilization account growing faster than ours and asking for them to please use more of that to offset some of our budget increases. Because we're not at our targets, right? But we're close. We're not destitute. We're in good shape financially. And the school is in good shape financially. But that doesn't mean that they need to set aside all this money that they pull in from renting the fields and the auditorium for new fields and auditorium. That was not how it was explained when this building was built. So we need to all get on the same page with the school budget as well. But I think this has to happen. And I mean, if we need to vote some kind of perfunctory vote now to make sure that you understand that we're all behind it, I'm more than willing to do that tonight based on the presentation from Arthur and Rebecca. Everything we need is here.
So could we vote to have them further pursue this plan and present it to us?
Yes, to include it in the next year's capital plan. Let's go for it.
I'll make a motion to ask the town administrator and highway superintendent to move forward with developing this plan and then presenting it as part of the capital plan.
I'll second that.
All right, discussion? Ed?
What's the chance that National Grid would extend beyond 3 years?
The agreement is only for 3. And
What's
the agreement is only for, the licensing agreement is only for 3, and I believe that's the terms of their construction project. So it's not like, unless there's an issue with their construction project, I don't think they're gonna be looking to stay much longer.
Any further discussion? No? All right, all in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Arthur. Thank you, Rebecca.
All right.
Appreciate that.
Am I,
You're
good
ex-
for anything else?
I think you're excused.
You've done it.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh,
Good job.
let's stay for the whole meeting.
All right, so next up, we have a flag policy. This is discussion and possible vote on the proposed flag policy. The town administrator has provided a draft of the Town of Groveland flag policy. So this discussion will be on the potential to adopt this policy and the types of flags that may be displayed on town property with select board authorization. The intent of the policy is to establish clear guidelines regarding the display of flags. As we review the policy, our focus will be on ensuring that it provides clear direction, it's applied consistently, and appropriately reflects the town's official functions and community observances. So our role tonight is to discuss and vote on if and how we want to proceed with this policy. Did I miss anything, Rebecca? No? I know this was brought up a meeting in June that I had stepped away from. So I guess just right out of the gate, any comments or questions on the policy? Okay.
Jason had his hand up.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
I think it's extremely well-written. The only thing I would change and add is, since this is gonna be a representation of the board, if they decide to fly an additional flag other than the government flags, that it requires a unanimous vote.
So that, you caught one of the things I wanted to talk about.
So that's, other than that, I think it's absolutely phenomenal. It was well written around to take any questions out of it, I
Right.
thought.
So I have
Yeah,
three concerns.
okay, yep.
One is what Jason just mentioned. It talks about that the board may authorize commemorative flags and things like that, but it doesn't lay out that process or procedure at all. How does somebody request it? What does it require? How do we vote on it? I think that needs to be part of the policy. The other thing that's not in there, and the town administrator knows I've brought this up before, but there's no mention in there of how we handle like half-staff protocol. So if the governor or the president requests that flags be flown at half-staff, I think that needs to be in there. And in conjunction with that, I think we need to identify what flag poles in town are town-owned flag poles. Because that's actually come up with residents who have reached out to me and said, hey, why isn't this flag at half-staff? And then I have to reach out to the town administrator and say, is that a town flag? Is that something we're responsible for? So I think if we're putting a policy in place, we should address the protocol for that and what flags are covered by it. And I didn't see either of those things in there.
Well, it says that they can be displayed at specific locations, specified locations and times.
But what flag poles are covered under the policy?
Well, the town flagpoles.
Which are the town flag poles?
You don't know where they are?
I don't know where all of them are.
Oh. Because, I mean, I guess an appendix could list the possible choices, but I would assume that, like, when you're doing things for a specified purpose, that we would use the main town hall flagpole.
Right.
But
For the most part. But if something is important to, South Fire Station, and they ask to put a flag up for a month to recognize something, a select board may want to allow that. I don't want to tie it down so specifically that a future select board has to go in and rewrite it to, you know what I mean? Like, this says that in addition to the flags of the United States and the Commonwealth, the town of Groveland, POW, the select board may authorize the display of the following flags at specified locations and times. And it talks about military flags from Memorial Day, Veterans Day, Purple Heart Day, Groveland Police Department flag, Groveland Fire Department flag, flags relating to official town ceremonies proclamations or observances. Flags of other sovereign governments, states, municipalities, or officially recognized sister communities in conjunction with an official town event, ceremony, or observance. So that's a limited scope. I like that. And then flags recognizing officially designated commemorative months or observations, again, is a specific scope.
Yeah, I'm not questioning the flags. I'm questioning which flagpoles in town the policy covers.
It covers all of them.
No, because what if it's a private flag? What if it's a?
Well, no, it's the town, it says to the town of Groveland's. This is, the town, this is specific to the flags displayed on town-owned flagpoles.
Do we know where the town-owned flagpoles are?
I do. Why?
Because I couldn't tell you where every single.
Oh, okay, but that could be an appendix, I mean, because what if they ever put another one up, you know?
Yeah, I think
don't
it should
know.
be in the policy with
Okay,
yeah.
flagpoles.
But it
applies
makes,
to.
it's not specific to any private property flagpoles
Yes.
at all.
Yeah,
It's
that's why I
very
think it's
clear.
important to just say. And the
Yeah.
same with the halves, because I think that's where, like, residents have approached me, is
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, there's this flagpole over here, it's not at half, you know, it's not being flown at half mast, why? And it's like, well, that's not a town flagpole. So if we have a policy that includes that and includes what flagpoles it is, it's much easier to refer back to and say, well, that's not a town flagpole, or,
Well, it's not necessarily not a town flagpole, it's not something that's governed by the half-staff rules and regulations.
yeah.
So that's a separate thing, I think. That should not be woven into this.
I was going to say, I think that's a state thing, right?
Yeah.
Exactly, so
Yeah.
the state has issues when flags are put at half-mast in accordance with federal law. And then we are then made aware, as we sign up for the alerts, as to
Yep.
when we need to bring those flags down. So I know there's been some back and forth over certain instances where the flag has not been lowered, but we hadn't received official notification from the
Yes.
state, or there was a federal order for them to be lowered. So we can reference the flag status and the authority of the state to dictate that those flags be at half-mast, but we don't necessarily, I mean, we would abide by whatever they put
Right.
forward. They would trump, we wouldn't dictate those terms. If I'm understanding it, you just want us to reference that.
Yeah, I just want it covered that for those flags, we will follow whatever that procedure, whatever that statute that covers that procedure is, that will cover it.
Yeah, and that's the difficult part, because depending on how the governor words it, most of the time, it's just the flag out here that needs to be flagged at half-staff. And when they word it slightly different, then it's all the flags. There's not one set rule to it, because I know that had happened once previously. But most of the time, it's just the one flag here.
And that might be. what-
And when people call and question it, they say, well, we're supposed to be flying at half-mast, they're talking about the one at Sells Fire Station.
that's
Well,
why-
that's not covered by that.
That's why I think that
Right.
the list of covered flags needs to be in there.
So we can update the language, but the language within the policy is essentially saying that the town of Groveland, that flags exhibited from town flagpole under the jurisdiction of the select board shall be displayed in conformance with applicable federal, state, and local policies.
Okay.
So I think that's where the catch-all was, but
Yep.
we can make that more detailed in regards to what is displayed on the screen and what the state has set aside.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
And then did you want to list the flag locations?
I think it would be good.
Just to have it, because it's not, yeah. Okay. Because I don't think I know where all of them are. Is this the trivia? Are we doing
This is
trivia?
it, trivia question. Name those flags.
If you read the flag law,
Yep,
the flag can only be lowered to half-staff at the order of the president or the order of the governor of a state, and nobody else. And it shouldn't be lowered for any other purpose.
yep. But to your point, Steve, some people ask, they get confused on what is town-owned versus,
Yeah, I
and
think
we don't
that's
want to
probably
be
the biggest thing.
seen as being disrespectful.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can understand that. And then the other piece too, you mentioned, Jason, adding that, amending it to be a full board unanimous vote, which I agree with, especially, yeah, if it's going to be a reflection of
Yeah.
what we're agreeing to.
And you'd be looking for that to be listed as part of the process for requesting which flag, and then lower down.
Yeah, basically, what is the process to get a commemorative flag or some other type of flag approved? I think it would be included in there, right?
Yeah.
But then no flags other than expressly identified in this policy shall be displayed in town-owned flagpole unless this policy is amended by a vote of the select board.
Unanimous vote of the select board.
So that portion or just any, okay.
So you want the policy to be unanimous vote or the flying of an additional flag?
I was gonna say, like, because
Yeah.
the policy is amended, not necessarily the addition of a flag, but the policy would be amended by listing that flag within the policy. So
Right.
ultimately, it's the same thing.
Right.
Yeah. So do we, I mean,
That's a lot of amendments
do we
too.
want to just, like, table this until we get a revised version?
That would make the most sense. I think there's too many changes to.
Yep,
to-
I'll make a motion to the table.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Sorry. Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Unanimous. I always forget the table. Okay, next up, we have request for additional trash and recycling carts at VZ Memorial Park. Discussion and possible action regarding additional carts. In our packet, you'll see that this is noted as a verbal request from the conservation agent on behalf of Conservation Commission, and no supporting documentation is provided. So I'm going to put this on you, Rebecca, to just provide some background on the current trash and recycling service at VZ, and then what is being requested. I guess we'll kick it
So
off with that.
essentially, at VZ Memorial Park, we have one 6-yard dumpster, and then we have two 95-gallon carts for both of the units up top. Then at the bottom, for 199 Washington Street, we have a 195-gallon recycling cart and 165 trash cart. So I put this on I requested that this be placed on the agenda because the commission, through the conservation agent, had requested 2 additional recycling carts to service the VZ operation itself, which was outside of the contract that we negotiated, or which we had with Waste Management prior, and what we carried over for Mellow. So because it was an additional carts, because we had gone back and forth about what potential changes we were going to be making in the recycling program, and I know we're going to be doing a follow-up in the September timeframe, but because others are asking for additional recycling carts and not getting it, but at the same time, this is a municipally owned site, this is a municipal building, this is a municipal operation, even though under the Conservation Commission, whether or not the board wanted to allocate such, we do have 2 additional carts that we would be able to provide. Again, we have a small inventory of carts right now because, as we had discussed as part of our program, if somebody was to say they wanted a smaller cart, we would then go and take their larger recycling cart and then provide them the smaller cart, so that if somebody were to change what allocation they would want later on, we still have that bigger cart to give back to that household, and then we would take that 35 and the inventory would stay the same. So we've been working with that. But again, we have it available. It is not what was originally in practice, and therefore I felt it was appropriate to formalize the conversation and have the board take a vote. Whatever the board decides, we will get the carts out there the next day if that's what the board so chooses. I just need an official vote from the board in order to tell me what you would like us to do.
Did you have, I know you were working on it, just that sort of breakdown of, okay. So what I had asked for was just give us an overview of like our municipal-owned buildings and what we currently have. Like, so there's a.
Thank you.
Well, yes, like behind the South Fire Station, you have a bunch of waste management cards still. I don't know why.
We still have the waste management carts because the waste management did not need them back.
Oh, okay.
And so we were only going to just replace them with Mellow.
Yeah.
And why get rid of a perfectly good cart?
No.
So waste management allowed us to keep them, and we just allowed them to be in rotation, and Mellow has been collecting them.
Okay, I just thought because they're not really secure that,
So the dumpsters are been all replaced with Mellow dumpsters, but the carts, the actual carts are still.
they're
the one
outside.
That say waste management on them.
Yeah. Are those being picked up?
Yes.
Well, shouldn't they be inside the fire station instead of outside in the parking
So
lot?
originally, we had a dumpster, but there was some illegal dumping happening. So
Of course.
we removed the dumpster and we replaced them with the carts. The same over at the Washington Park. There was a dumpster there. We removed that dumpster, and now we have the carts. At the Pines, the same thing, where we originally had some issues, so we have carts there.
Okay.
So all of our public locations, if you're just talking about South Station specifically, we can ask them to put those carts inside, but all
Well,
of the
yeah,
other.
why would they need even more than one? I mean, it's not a staff station.
So because they had a dumpster, and it was.
Oh, I know, and
Right.
everybody was dumping in it. I know, and I'm just saying, if you leave those carts outside, you're going to get the same result as you would with the dumpster. So I think, one cart is sufficient and goes inside the station, right? If that's what it's for.
So
Well, all it needs is one firefighter to come over at some point and put it out at the curb when it's time to be picked up.
So for the purpose of this, we're talking about VZ. I don't know if we should,
Well, no, I think it's all the same thing. I think if you're talking about extra recycling cart that would go inside the building that gets rented out for events, that's one thing. Okay, that I can understand. If people that are having a party want to have a recycling bin to use, that's good. But if it's a matter of putting extra recycling bins out that anybody can access, no, that's not fair. We all have one recycling cart right now. We're trying to see how this plays out. And so,
So I can remove the one for the South Fire Station. I can remove one of the 95-gallon recycling carts and ask the fire department to move the other one inside.
yeah, I mean, they have a trash cart too, right?
Two.
They should have like,
They only have the recycling cart. They don't have a trash cart there.
Oh, this
Wait.
says South Fire Station, 2 95-gallon.
Oh, I'm sorry, they have two 95-gallon trash, not recycling. So we can remove one of the trash and put that inside.
okay, so they don't even have the 65 gallon, they have 95, all the more reason to put it in.
Right, right.
Because otherwise you could run into dumping and stuff. But, again, if it's for the rentals and people using it, I'm 100% for them doing some recycling when they're cleaning up, if that's what we're talking about. But if the two residences up there already have their recycling bins, right?
They do.
So
Yeah.
I guess I have the same question.
Yeah, that's all.
What is this for? What is it for?
So the conservation agent stated that they wanted the two additional recycling carts to service the operations over at VZ. So they have the recycling cart for the unit in the back, the recycling cart for the unit up top, and they want two additional recycling carts for events, baby showers, weddings, et
Yeah, and
cetera.
as long as they're kept inside so they can be used by the events people and not have another place where people go and dump things, yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah,
So-
that's fine.
maybe you could clarify before we continue? Or,
We're having such fun.
I'd love to. Jan Dempsey, 33 Uptack Road, VC Park volunteer, and former member of the Trash and Recycling Committee.
Yeah.
So just to back up, what's in your packet says we're asking for recycling and trash carts. That's not true.
Just recycle.
Just recycling.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it says in the packet, trash carts, so I just want to clarify that
Okay.
from the get-go.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, so just to back up, when town meeting authorized the new 96-gallon recycling carts, okay, there was one delivered to the residents at the bottom of the hill,
Okay.
but none were delivered to the two residents at the top of the hill. So our concern, which we brought up in February, was if we have to use standard recycling carts, we don't have them. And so Mello won't pick up the recycling, right, unless you have standard carts.
Right, but
So,
I thought they,
so as we went along,
Yeah.
the first day of recycling in June, nothing got picked up. 2 weeks later, nothing got picked up. So I called, and they did pick it up on Friday. So if it's true that Mello will pick up waste management recycling carts,
yeah.
then we have kind of 4, because 2 are retrofitted with stickers on it. So we're okay. But the problem was, we didn't have any town-authorized recycle carts, and that's what we were concerned about, especially because there's two residents, and each resident in town gets a recycling cart,
Right.
and there's also VC Park being a function facility.
Function hall,
Yep.
yeah.
So right now, there are not 4 96-gallon carts. There's one 96-gallon cart, and the other 3 are kind of, I don't know, maybe 65 or something.
Well, we need it all standardized.
So essentially, the
But if
waste
they will
manage-
pick them up,
waste management was only for VZ Memorial Park, was only given a 6-yard dumpster by Waste Management. So
Right.
when it was asked of me,
Yeah, okay.
not by the Conservation Commission, but by Jan, to the conservation agent, why there was no additional carts, I had reached out to the Conservation Commission and said, I need an understanding of what your prior practice was. Because
Okay.
whatever your prior practice was, is what we're implementing. If you had the blue bin buckets up there, we will provide you another recycling cart. But if you never received recycling pickup there, then it's an issue that the select board will need to
we
determine.
always had recycling
So then I was
pickup.
told, after weeks of reaching out to the director as to what the process was, she had not returned my phone call. And because we did not receive information from the director on what was happening, nor did the Conservation Commission give us any additional instruction, we were waiting until we received additional information. So it wasn't until I received an email from the conservation agent, who then followed Vanessa's, or forwarded Vanessa's email, which I can show you the timestamp, that we said, of course, we will give you 2 95 recycling carts for the units up there, because you have now documented that you had a blue bin that was serviced by Waste Management.
Okay.
So we delivered those the next day.
Okay.
So I don't know of any waste management carts that have been delivered there that were given to VZ by Waste Management, but that was exactly why we had reached out to Vanessa and to the Conservation Commission to clarify what their practice was, so that we could make sure that we were being consistent and we had documented information as to what was done and what would continue. And if anything was to change, it would come to the select board to make that determination.
Okay.
I do believe in my email, I was very specific, and VC Park has been recycling forever.
Okay, but now they have the recycling carts, I'm told.
We had
resident.
a waste management recycling cart and another one with stickers on it, and another one with stickers
Well,
on it, and Waste Management always collected it.
Right, but we
So there
need-
was always recycling
Okay,
services
but
at VC Park, and
currently-
we just want to continue the recycling
Right,
services.
so-
That's all we're trying to do. That's
But
all we're trying to do.
Rebecca just said that the 2 recycling carts have been delivered, right?
One has been delivered. There's a new one
Well,
that's
so
been.
let's back into, let's back
I'm
into this.
kind of,
So this is really
How
a
many
simple thing.
total recycling carts should be picked up at VC Park?
So there's 2 95-gallon recycling carts for both of the units, the one in the cottage in the back and the one at the top as
That's
well.
2 96-gallon
2
carts.
96
one
recycling
on the
carts
bottom.
only.
So we should just make sure they have 2 96-gallon recycling carts.
and then the house at the bottom.
Oh, and then one
Correct.
for the house at the bottom, so 3.
Yeah,
So
3.
that's residents, but then there's the operational part
If
of
the
it.
operational wants a recycling cart, I'm all for it, as long as you put it inside.
Agreed.
Because obviously it'll be used when they have events, and then they'll have to have somebody get it outside on the appropriate pickup day. Does the, does Mellow go all the way up?
They do, because this is a
Wow.
dumpster.
Wow.
So they need 4 total 96-gallon recycling.
So, and then, so 2 would be kept inside in the function hall area until they get used.
One.
1.
Oh, you're just giving them one?
3 residential units, 1 for inside.
Oh, okay, you only need one inside, do you think?
If it has to be inside,
Yeah, because, I mean, we don't want people dumping trash in it. Well, the VZ Park is open to the public, you know, and if
Right,
it's
but it's
not
a
by
recycling.
somebody's house, I would prefer it be same as South Station, inside. Yes, so that we don't have to deal with gross dumping stuff.
And I just want to say one
Yeah.
thing. I know from the conversations I've had that recycling is the thing that people are struggling with the most. So I
Yeah.
know that if you have a cart that has space in it, people will find a way to use it. So that's
Well-
why it needs to be inside.
I wouldn't mind if they just put extra recycling. I'd be more concerned because it's a public park and you know, we can't possibly keep an eye on everything.
the bottom
If there's
line,
a-
though, is that the
Yeah.
park just wants to recycle, which
Yep.
is what we should all be doing.
Okay.
And that's all we're asking for. That was our concern from the get-go. It's just
Good.
that we want the tenants at the park and the people that have events to be able to recycle.
Of course.
And that's the only thing we were requesting.
Okay, so,
I just want to make sure that that is clear.
Yeah.
yep, I have no problem with one or two addition, as long as they're put inside.
We also
you
need
know.
to make sure that it's coming from those who are managing the property. So the
Well,
Conservation
yeah.
Commission should be the ones that are making the request. I understand that there's volunteers within the
Yeah.
organization that want to help, and that's great, but if somebody volunteers somewhere and asks us to do something, are we supposed to do that without checking first with those who manage the site?
Right, we can send why don't we send a correspondence to Conservation, just ask them to confirm, just so we know there's a clear understanding. We're going to give them one additional recycling cart for the event center and keep it inside.
Go ahead.
At our last meeting, the Conservation Commission voted to request a total of 4 town recycling carts at the park. One for each resident and 2 for the events. That's what we voted on, and that's what we're requesting tonight.
Except you have
Right
3
now-
residents.
Right now, at the park, as Jan mentioned, there is 1 town cart. There is an old waste management cart, and then there are 2 other carts that are neither. So that's where, and they're filled just about every time, every 2 weeks, they're filled. And we haven't had any problem with people coming along and throwing stuff in there that doesn't belong.
But-
They're managed. So that's what we're requesting for, if it requires the town to provide them, then we need 4. If we're happy, if Mello is willing to pick up 4 of any variety, then we're all set. So
Are you saying
that's
that
what we
the
need.
VC event space needs 4 recycled 96 gallons?
No, we need 1 for each resident
Yep.
So that's
and
3.
2 for the events. So that's
Yep.
4 total.
That's
That's what
fine.
we're requesting.
The other resident has it at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah.
Right.
We're talking about at the top.
But-
I understand, but it's still VC, so it's 5. It's 5 total.
No. There's 2 residences at the top.
1 at the bottom. There's
Yes,
3.
we're not talking about the
No, no,
one
it's-
at the
It's all
bottom.
inclusive, and it's going to be inclusive because that's the way it works. Because it's all covered by VC. You manage, the Conservation Commission manages that entire property, all 3 of those residents and VC. So we're going to put them all together so there's no confusion. Because you're saying 4, and he's going to give you 1
Right.
for VC, and then the 3 over there. So we're going to make this very simple and very clear. There's 5 total for VC Park. 1 at the bottom, 2 at the top for the residents, and then 2 for the function hall.
Right.
Right.
But 2 have already been dropped off, correct?
Correct.
So there's now, just use the ones that are the correct ones, the 96, 95, 96.
They will not take any other carts
Yeah,
other
they
than
have-
town-issued
Okay.
carts unless they are at those specific sites listed, being Washington Hall, Shanahan
Yeah.
Field, Washington
Yeah.
Park,
Okay.
South Station,
Yeah.
as well as the Pines. If those are waste management carts, they will take those carts because they have been specifically
Okay.
left behind in order to accommodate
Oh, I
them,
got it.
replacing them with mellow carts.
Okay,
But any other residential location and VZ included are
Okay.
only allowed
Okay.
town-issued carts.
right. So I don't have a problem giving 2 to the event center as long as they're kept inside and, used by people doing the events. I mean, recycling is great, so.
So my only thing with that, I'm looking, this is why I
It
like
will
this.
cost us a little money.
Yes, yeah.
It's
But
going to cost us some money, but it's still
It
recycling.
costs the taxpayers money.
It does.
But having the collection site with the cart sizes, right? I've been trying to think about what VZ is comparable to, right? And it is a little bit of Washington Hall in a way because you have the indoor space, but it's also like the Pines. There's people that are hiking, that are picnicking, that are, that they're gonna possibly, they might not have the cool water bottle that Jason
Well,
has.
we're
So
not
for-
providing trash
Yeah,
for,
it's a carry in, carry out.
we're, no. Because it's one thing at the parks where there's a game or something,
Yes.
they have a snack shack, but we're not running a,
Right.
I think we'll get a little overwhelmed as we start this contract if we make too many exceptions, you know what I mean? Like, right now, everybody's trying to adjust to it, and we're trying to see what the bill looks like.
Right.
What the trash
Right.
and recycling tonnage look like.
And the other
Yeah.
thing to consider is like we talked
Yeah.
about at the Pines.
Yep.
Is for the events requiring them to handle all of the trash, just like we did with that last event down at the Pines.
Yeah, that is important.
But this is recycling.
This is just
both. This is
recycling.
They
So I
do
mean,
both.
Right, but for
They'll
this,
drop those off
Yeah.
as
Right.
well and pick them up.
but the request in front of us tonight is, because it sounds like.
so they
the
want
trash is
2
already
recycling carts for inside the event space.
For operations, for events.
Yeah.
Yes. So all the residents are covered. So Mike, that's where the 3, just to,
Yeah, so
encapsulate,
I
like,
don't
all
have
of
a problem
the
with that,
property.
and wait to see what the cost of recycling starts to become before we start to say, wow, this is getting too much, but recycling is a good endeavor. We want people using it, so if people are, rather than putting all their stuff in trash when they clean up after an event, like the baby shower with 100 people,
Right.
if they can recycle more of it, that's a good thing, right? Yeah,
We can have those delivered tomorrow.
that'd be great. You want us to vote this?
yes.
Okay, Sue.
Oh.
Go ahead, Ed.
If they don't have the recycling carts, the 2 that they need for the, we'll call it the business,
Yep,
the stuff is going in the dumpster.
Yep.
yep,
So, you might as well get a couple of carts up there,
yep.
leave them inside. Other than that, if the carts are over full, it's going in the dumpster.
That's a good point. And that costs us more.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so should we make a vote? Do you want us to vote like the number, just the 2 recycling things, because you've got everything else?
Well, I think like
If cons-
Jason says, vote for 5
Okay.
of them.
Okay, so Jason, do you want to make so we're going to vote that the VZ Park
3 residents,
shall include, for the 3 residents, each resident will get 1 65-gallon trash cart, 64-gallon.
No, we're just.
95
Just
recycling.
focus on recycling carts.
So,
Okay,
Yes.
we're focusing on just
We're
recycling.
overcomplicating
So
it,
for the
yes.
VZ Park,
Yes.
each resident will get 1, are they 96 or 95?
95.
I can't keep it straight.
95.
95-gallon recycling cart.
Yep.
And the event center housed up at the top of VZ in the main house will get 2 6-gallon recycling carts to be kept inside.
second.
There we go.
All right, any further discussion? No. None. Okay, all in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Let's talk about goals.
Try to
So-
get home before 10. No, I'm just
Yeah, yeah,
kidding.
I know.
No. We've got a lot of time on the goals.
We've kicked the can.
Can we just adopt them and see how we do?
Yes, so you'll see on here, Steve did put this together and he put, like, some of, if you look at the status column, so superseded, there's something that's going to replace that.
Yep.
So I think we can skip those
Yeah, we just removed.
for now, but at least they're there, right, to be transparent.
Oh, the superseded one, I see that.
Yeah. 'cause
Superseded, huh?
I added a little bit of extra to that.
Okay, so we're not going to have this one anymore.
Right, the one, I think it's the one, well, it's actually at the bottom in this.
It'll be replaced.
Okay,
Being
so,
replaced by the first of the proposed ones.
all right, well, why don't we just take it off then, so that we
Yeah,
don't.
that's what I
Yeah.
wanted to do.
Yeah, let's
Anything
take
that
it.
says superseded, we should just vote to remove.
Okay, so this one, government and civic engagement
I think there was 2.
can be removed, right?
Yep.
So,
And then we have government and civic engagement annual policy review. That's carried forward.
That's carried forward.
Okay.
oh, the other one that was gonna be removed was the trash and recycling one, because it's completed.
Yes,
I knew there was 2.
yes.
Well, except that I had wanted us to monitor.
I put your new one in there.
Oh, okay.
At the bottom.
So if we go through
Am I
these,
missing a
let's go
page?
through them one at a time. Let's
Oh, I
align
see.
here.
I've got you.
So I'm going to skip the one that's superseded because there's a replacement one for that. So we're
Okay,
going to
good.
leave that.
Yep.
So the first one is looking at promote excellence in governance through annual policy review and civil disclosure. This is carried forward, so this is the same as what it was
Okay.
last year, if everyone feels good about that.
I do.
Next one is support balanced budgets that sustain services without an override, which is another one carried over.
Yep.
The next one is support and uphold financial policies for responsible fiscal management, again carried forward.
Yep.
I'm going to skip the one that's completed because we're not even going to bring him into the next.
Okay.
But it's noted for
Okay,
transparency.
yeah, but we'll be taking it off, right?
Yep.
To make it simpler. That's fine.
Now let's skip to the next one. Identify a sustainable and cost-effective solution for the Salem Street Dam. This one is carried forward.
Yeah, carried forward, okay.
Next, we have support roadway and safety improvements. This one is carried forward. Next one is Whittier Regional Agreement and Building, carried forward.
Yeah,
Next is strengthen oversight and transparency of the Pentucket Regional Agreement, carried forward.
right, yeah.
Now we have one that's proposed that just takes the first one that I mentioned was superseded
Yeah.
and just adds a little bit more to this. So this is strengthening public communication, transparency, and resident engagement. So it's still keeping those, keeping an eye on those performance metrics, right? How our social media is doing. I think all those things are really helpful to get a pulse.
Yeah,
Improving meeting transparency. So Rebecca's been really good about showing things on the screen, which is
Yeah.
helpful to people following along.
yeah,
And then as far as putting the select board to be a little bit more accountable for it is being more, I'm going to say, enhanced community engagement. So
Yeah.
Groveland Day, for example, I know, Jason, I know you're in that tent all day, but I think there, you know, if it's
We should all try to
possible,
help out.
we should all try to do our part to be there, to represent.
and the, you know, Pumpkin Fest. I mean,
Pumpkin Fest, things like that. I mean, I think everyone knows that Jason's at the dog park. A lot of people know his schedule at this point.
Yeah.
You know, just to try and I know you have office
doctor
hours,
is in.
and, you know, we try to have office hours, and they're not, they're tricky. So I think it's just making us think outside the box of ways to
Yep.
engage with residents outside of our normal circle.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, and I think to that end, like, for different events, like
Yeah.
you talked about Pumpkin Fest,
Yeah,
Groveland Day, like, we should sign on to.
Yes.
be
Yeah.
part of those events.
Yes,
We
yes.
have to be it. It's
So, yeah,
a job.
absolutely. So did I hear you're going to be in the dunk tank?
never
I
happening,
volunteered every year.
never.
And you always
Never
get
had one.
denied.
They had one time
We
for
budget for
something
a
there.
dunk
It was
tank.
disgusting. Ooh. Okay, and then
So-
there's the trash and recycling. I see.
Okay, so then we have some more proposed ones.
Yeah.
Ensure transparency and effectiveness of the trash recycling and sustainability program.
Yeah,
So that one has some details on it. That includes like a monthly green tip. You'll see
And
the
that would replace
measurements.
the old.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
'Cause,
It's
I mean,
enhanced.
for like the residents that never understood, and it took us a while in the trash and recycling to kind of decipher how much we were getting charged on the recycling end, because we were being charged a middleman fee
Yep.
in addition to, even when we miraculously got into the black, which was years ago, and actually earned some money,
Yeah.
we would only get 50% of that. And then they also profiled the town and said, well, this is how much you have of these substances.
Yeah.
And we felt strongly that this wasn't accurate. And so I've heard from the administrator in Boxford that had switched to the Mello. Now, Mello is not the middleman on the recycling. The bill comes directly from the recycle center to Mello, and they just forward it to us.
Yep.
So once we start to see those and start to understand those better, it'll really help us understand, you know, how much is recycling worth to us.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. So it's keeping it on the radar and in the forefront.
Yeah, I think it's
Absolutely.
important. Yeah.
So the next proposed one we have is enhance public safety on town roads and pedestrian corridors.
Yes.
Other proposed, address public safety and future use of the Valley Screw Building.
Yep.
And then finally, repurpose Town Hall front lawn for passive recreation and an improved Veterans Memorial.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I
Nobody
guess,
can grow the
so what
grass.
we're looking at here as a board is looking at the ones that are carried forward
Yep.
and looking at the ones that are proposed.
Yeah.
Those would essentially be our goals for fiscal year 2027, which will be important so that Rebecca can align her goals and town activities with these.
Yeah, it's a full plate, but I think it's manageable. So, I mean, I would vote, make a motion to approve it and just delete out the ones that are done.
Yeah, you can approve the carried forward and the proposed.
Okay, so
That'd be the
I'll make a
simplest.
motion to approve the carry forwards and the proposed goals as our fiscal '27 goals.
I'll second that.
I mean, as we get into it, if something changes, obviously, duh, we can change what we're doing. If it doesn't, like the front lawn, something's not going to work, not going to work.
Was that a second for discussion? I wasn't too
Yeah,
sure.
I'll second it. I mean,
Okay.
for discussion, because we can't discuss it.
Yes, okay. All right.
I think we're adding some really important stuff, like the public safety on town roads, and
Yeah.
I know we've been dealing with VC through the town administrator's hard work, but I think having it a formalized goal is important. I'm a little concerned about the town hall front lawn. I think it's something we could look at. We've got a pretty full plate. It's almost August. Do we have time? That's I don't like to create a goal that we know going in isn't something we'd be able to complete. So that would be my only
We
reservation.
got to start somewhere is what I think. So I'd say we're starting.
And
Let's
maybe
see.
that's what we say.
Yeah.
Maybe we stop at the feasibility study or the proposal for, I don't know.
Rebecca's already promised me big things on this.
The front lawn redo.
Yes, we have a conceptual plan that we are working on right now.
See?
Yeah, no, but yeah.
It's just, I like to make sure that goals that we set are attainable.
Hey,
Yes.
We set the goals and then Rebecca gets it done.
Like, thanks.
It's a win-win for us.
Right,
No,
right.
but thank you.
But other than that, I think we're adding some good.
No, we do. We have a full plate. I agree with
Yeah.
you.
Any other discussion on these? Ed, do you have any?
No.
You're okay? Jason? Yeah.
Yes, I just want to thank Steve for putting all that together, and Kathy for collaborating. I
Yep.
think it's a great piece of work.
Yes. All right. Well, with that being said, let's set our goals. All in favor? Unanimous. We did it. That took how many meetings? This is so good.
Now we just have to
That
deal
feels
with
good.
scooters.
All right, so for the final topic of discussion, we have e-bikes, scooters, and other motorized vehicles on town property. So this is discussion and possible vote action regarding the use of e-bikes, scooters, and other motorized vehicles on town property. Included in our packet is documentation from Select Member Baker, comments from Chief Gillen, and our current bylaws. In addition, there is a memo from Town Council, and there was some confirmation from the town administrator that the community trail owned by National Grid does prohibit motorized vehicles on the trail. The definition of motorized vehicles is
To be determined.
the gray area, but I want to begin this agenda item with you, Steve, if that's okay.
So I'm going to start by saying I don't recommend we vote on this tonight because I think there's a bunch of outstanding questions that we need to answer. But just to kind of frame it, so obviously I think if you've been paying attention to what's going on across the state, somewhat in Groveland and neighboring towns, we've seen a huge increase in e-bikes, stand-up scooters, and other devices.
Skateboards
with rockets on the back.
Yep.
And there's been a number of incidents related to that. And so there had been some conversation, and I've heard from some parents and talked to some folks in the community about putting some sort of regulation in place. So I did a bunch of research on this, and I think it's there's a multi-step approach that we need to take, and complicating that approach is also that there's some things happening at the state level regarding legislation that is slowly making its way through the process. I think I heard that it was approved by the House at
It's
this
approved
point.
by the House now, it will go forth to Senate.
And so we can certainly do something at a local level. And I think that starts with there's a regulation. And the regulation would cover, our parks and fields and potentially the community trail, although there's some discussion there because that's actually, part of that is actually owned by National Grid. So we have to comply with what's in the lease there and what we can do. So I took a stab at writing a regulation. I looked at what some other towns were doing. Oh, there's also an outstanding question, I think, I'm not sure it's fully addressed, about whether we need to have a public hearing or not, because it's a regulation, and based on certain types of properties, there's a requirement to do notifications and things like that. I think that's still outstanding, Rebecca, or did we get an answer on that?
So it's only on town roadways.
Okay, so
that
we
that
can
would be
do,
required.
so really the question is whether we have to cover the community trail or not at this.
And it depends, if under the guidance that was issued by the, by town council, it was more so specific to parklands that were under the jurisdiction of the select board. So if there were parklands that were under, or open space or recreation under Concom would be the one that would be putting forward the regulations. But if they were under jurisdiction of the select board, then they would be able to enact regulations, as we have no designated park commission and have not delegated those duties to the DPW or anyone else. And those don't require noticing.
Okay.
So, I could certainly walk through the regulation and what it would look like. But in essence, what it does is it just sets the rules for what types of electronic bikes, and I learned a lot in this process, in
Yep.
that there's Class 1 and Class 2, which state law covers, but then more recently, there's a Class 3,
Of course.
which comes with additional speed, and so that's not currently covered in my document, but I can update it. So, I mean, I guess what I put forward was the regulation and then some supporting documentation and information. I did also put together a bylaw that we could use at the next town meeting, but I'm not sure it's gonna be necessary. It depends on what happens with that state law, but we have it, table that until a future date, so. I don't know if there's any questions, discussion. I'm happy to share more info than anybody ever wanted to know about e-bikes.
No, I think, you know, under the age of 16, these are toys. They should be used at home. You know, they should not be on our sidewalks or our roads or in our parks because, you know, a 12-year-old just was killed in Haverhill. You know, and I've seen more of it in Haverhill than here, but I've seen a little bit of it here is they're on them on the sidewalk, no helmet, no appropriate gear, no footgear. I mean, it's just a horrible thing waiting to happen. So I think to be more proactive for the safety of everybody in this town, including, you know, people that are using our parks, bringing their kids down there, to have those kind of devices going in and out of the cars pulling in. I think they shouldn't be on the sidewalks, but maybe that's another whole deal, and we'll wait for the state on that. They should only be on the roadway as a bicycle, or if they're in traffic as a licensed vehicle, but they shouldn't be on the sidewalks either, because that's where people walking their children, walking a baby carriage, or somebody in a wheelchair, you know, they're allowed to be there, but not this scooter stuff.
Yeah, and I
It's
think
very, very dangerous when you think about it, because you know, you have people using our sidewalks, especially South Grove. I mean, it's like people are on the sidewalks all the time with their baby carriages and their dogs, I mean, all the time. So, I mean, they're heavily used for what they're intended for. And now I think if we do nothing and we step back too much and wait for the state for too long, we will have an accident on a sidewalk. But I think what Steve has done is a great first step, because it kind of says, you know, we want everybody to be safe. We want the children that have scooters to be safe, so we don't want them flying down into the parks where there's traffic going in and out and ball games happening and all. It's just, it's so dangerous.
Yeah, what I tried to look at was what we can do now and what requires a town meeting vote.
Right,
We can
right.
control, like,
No,
the
I
process.
think what you did right now is great, and if you want us to pause over it, I mean, I read through it, I thought it's really great, and if we need to get a little more clarification and push it forward to the next meeting to vote it in, because we do have authority over our recreational areas, I assume.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we cover the community, either cover the community trail or take it out. So the things that I want to get.
You mean the rail trail?
Yeah, I'm sorry, the rail trail,
Yeah.
I want to make sure that we cover the class 3 devices in it, which aren't in there right now. And then the police chief, I don't know if anyone got a chance to read his letter, he did talk about kind of having an initial public education campaign at the beginning and some signs
Okay.
and things like that.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we take time to think about, do we need to wait 45 days for it to go into effect or something like that? And I haven't thought about it enough
Yeah.
on that front yet to say like how much lead time do we need to successfully implement it with the police department? That's all. Those are kind of the 3 outstanding things in my mind, is those.
Do you know, is Haverhill taking any action right now, given that
I think
they've had a death?
It came up at their city council meeting. I don't know
Oh,
what
I'd
the
hope so.
outcome was. But I believe they did talk about it. I don't know if they adopted a regulation or not. I know several other towns have, this past spring, took it before town meetings and got formal, bylaws approved. We were a little bit behind the times on that, I
Okay.
think. And so that's why why I suggest we go the regulation followed by, if necessary, a bylaw in the spring.
So do you think that we have to have a public hearing, or do you think, because these are not licensed vehicles, we're not taking away anybody's rights. They don't have a right to be riding
So I
these
think I
under
don't
the
know
age
that
of
we need the
16.
public hearing at this point, based on what
Yeah.
I learned this afternoon, but I think we need to clarify what we can and cannot and should not do on the trail, because it is owned by National Grid, not us.
It's not our trail?
Nope.
Rail trail?
You have a 99-year lease with National Grid.
Okay.
So I just want to get clarification on that so I can modify the regulation.
Okay.
Either take it out or say that it's private and it's not.
I mean,
required.
we've leased it for
overlay.
99 years, so we have control of it for 99 years.
So I sent over the lease to council to confirm,
Okay.
and then to also confirm enforcement of such.
Okay.
So whether or not we have the ability to enforce the restriction, if in fact the restriction applies to e-bikes, et cetera, as
Yep, okay,
So I think we could
Discuss.
probably vote on it at our next meeting. We
Yeah.
should have that
okay,
info back.
great. Thank you for doing this work and research.
Yeah.
Really helpful.
I know. And you work
I
with
don't even
the,
own an e-bike.
I know, right? And working with the chief, I think, is important too, because rolling this out, obviously you need their buy-in to do that, so. Any other questions or comments for Steve on this one while he continues his work?
No.
No? Okay. Thank you, Steve, for working on that.
I think I do have a comment. I mean,
Sure.
I'm not a big fan of the overregulation of things.
Yeah.
They're e-bikes. Most of them aren't that fast, and the ones that are fast are the one they're classifying as Class 3. Those are different. I think a lot of people around here grew up racing dirt bikes at 10 and younger in the sand pits and everything else. And at 16, you should already be considering getting your license, and your parents should have been teaching you the road rules and everything else. To your point about keeping them off the sidewalks, they're not supposed to be on the sidewalks. No bicycle is supposed to be on the sidewalks. But it's something that's often overlooked, particularly when it's children on the sidewalks.
Well, and small children, yeah,
Because you don't want them on the streets.
yeah.
And so I don't think that's going to change.
Well, I
I
think
mean, when you start talking about electric bikes, or electric motorized vehicles, how little are you going to go? What type of classifications are you going to go with? Yeah, it's not something that I think I'll support.
So one thing I learned as part of the research in this is that an unassisted bike ridden by an average rider goes, and I just wanted to verify myself, but goes between 10 and 18 miles an hour. So class 1 e-bikes, which are the ones that you have to be pedaling to get
Yes.
assistance, that doesn't cut out until you hit 20.
Yeah,
Have you ever fallen off a bike at 18 miles an hour?
Oh, yeah.
People are getting seriously injured. And that doesn't include the class 2s, which will do that without you even pedaling up to, I can't remember if it's 20 or 25.
I think they're both still 20.
But that's much faster than an average person is going to ride a bike.
yeah.
Oh, an average child, oh, absolutely. Because you're
And so
probably
I
looking at
just
more
don't know
like
that
15. I don't think there's a huge difference between 15 and 20. But then, like I said, that's my opinion. I mean, I think the overregulation just prevents children from learning what they need to learn to go. It's tragic. I mean, there's over 600-700 bicycles versus cars every year in Massachusetts. And I don't know that the electric bikes are adding to that.
I think,
And I think they need to have a place to go and ride them. I don't know that this would have a tremendous amount of public support because of the people in town that are accustomed to off-roading when they were young. And that's how they learned how to ride and drive. And, I mean, we keep pushing that just a little bit further out, 16, 18, 21, and that's why I just can't get behind it.
What if you
I
think
g-
about yeah, I mean, it's a good something to discuss.
if I could, yeah, I guess, I mean, I think, Jason, in response to you, the days of long gone, where kids could do things on town property and nobody got sued are gone. Everybody sues. And the traffic has increased tremendously in this town. We just had that traffic study. So you introduce, electric scooters with drivers under the age of 16, inexperienced, in a traffic situation, bad things are going to happen. And before that happens, we need to just say, people need to be able to safely use our parks, safely use our sidewalks. People who are out walking after a hip replacement need to be able to walk down the sidewalk without getting run over by a scooter. Okay, it's not going to work in the long run if we do nothing. So I think Steve's first attempt is very fair. It's very reasonable. If as a parent you feel your child should have a motorized vehicle under the age of 16, then you are responsible to find a place for them to use it where it's allowed. And there are places that you can drive them to that they can go ride it. But to send them through our town on sidewalks where we have baby carriages and a mom with a kid on training wheels and dogs walking and all, that's just not responsible, and it's not safe for everybody. It's not safe, and the traffic is only going to keep increasing, making it even less safe. So now, if we start looking at this now with an eye towards, let's make sure everybody is safe, even the children that want to ride the scooter. Maybe we can find a list of places that they can take them to. Okay? Fine. But again, looking just over the bridge, that poor 12-year-old girl is dead. And it's not really her fault. She's young. She lost control. She went into the back of a bus. My heart broke when I heard that. I just thought it's devastating. And I don't see how you can do nothing. I mean, it's one thing when there was less traffic and it was more rural, but we've got a lot more traffic now.
And the only other thing I'd like to point out is at 16, you can get a motorcycle permit.
Yes, you can. Actually, you can fly an airplane before you're 16. My husband had his pilot's license
So
from
if you're
Lawrence
worried about
Airport
e-bike,
before he was 16.
and
But-
somebody controlling an e-bike,
Yep.
to
There's,
be out there on a motorcycle.
you could be up there in the air flying, but those are the laws. I mean, the law does not allow someone under the age of 16 to ride a motorized
See,
scooter.
people forget that pedal bike, e-bike, or whatever, they have to follow the same rules and regulations as motor vehicles.
Yep.
Stopping at stop signs,
Yep.
stopping at red lights, not driving in the middle of the road,
Right.
but they don't, and it happens everywhere. And that's been in effect for a long time. The excuse you get sometimes is that depending on what road you're on, it may be safer for them to be on the sidewalk rather than on a public way. But they follow the same rules and regulations as a car. And as you progress, they have to be registered, have to have insurance. But I think what's even worse is these people on skateboards. And it happened earlier today that a clown was coming down a hill at a four-way stop, nearly got hit by two vehicles because he went right through. And the two vehicles in the opposite directions had the right of way. And he almost got hit. But you see it constantly, and it's getting worse. And then you got these scooters with a handle, and the kids have put a seat on it so they can carry one of their friends on the back of this motorized skateboard, and it's not safe. But you see it all the time, especially in the city, that they operate contrary to traffic rules and regulations, and it's dangerous. And that's why you hear on the news, you read in the paper, everywhere. City of Boston's got a big problem with it. But whatever we can do.
So I guess, yeah, if you continue working on it.
I'll make some updates before our next meeting,
It-
and we can,
Yeah, maybe worth bringing, I don't know if Chief Gillen would want to come in and speak about it. I guess we can, if he has any additional detail, like what he's seen, right? Maybe, or if he just wants to write something up, that's fine too. Yeah, I know we provided details already, but if there's anything else after hearing our discussion that he wants to add,
Of course, I'll
just want to
send the
send that.
invitation.
Okay.
Do we need a vote to table it, or what? Or to move it forward?
possible votes, so I think we can just carry it for the next meeting.
Yeah, it was possible action, so this is more just,
Okay,
yeah.
there you go.
All right. We're now at appointments and resignations. So I have in here to appoint Lauren Wood Shepherd to the Historical Commission effective July 10th, 2026 through June 30th, 2028.
What's today's date?
She's already started.
So we're going to backdate?
I'm sorry, what was,
For Lauren Wood Shepherd, it says effective July 10th, but today's July 20th.
I'm not sure why it's effective July 10th.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm assuming it's to fill out, maybe because of the resignation of a member. I believe,
Because she wouldn't have been able to be sworn in, though, if we haven't.
they wouldn't have been sworn in yet without an
Can we just make-
official vote.
Yeah, so when we make the motion, hold on one second.
We'll make it July 20th?
I think it was because John Gray had resigned from the Historic Commission, and they were filling that seat. I'm not 100% positive, but for some reason, that's the only
All right.
reason I'm thinking that it.
But it doesn't hurt anything to change it to today's date, right?
I don't believe so. I mean,
All
you
right.
wouldn't have been able to be sworn in
So-
without your appointment.
All right, so I make a motion to appoint Lauren Wood Shepherd to the Historic Commission effective July 20th, 2026 through June 30th, 2028.
Second.
All right, any discussion on that appointment? None? All right, all in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, Lauren. Next, we have the approval of the minutes. There's 3 sets of minutes to approve, May 26th, June 8th, June 22nd. Everyone was in attendance, except for Jason did not attend the June 22nd ones.
So, wait, Tuesday, May 26th. We're all here.
Oh, I had one thing on
So if you want to do individual motions or two
Yeah, I'll make a motion
separate.
to approve the minutes for Tuesday, May 26th, 2026.
Second.
All right, any discussion on the May 26 minutes? None? All right, all in favor to approve?
Yep.
Unanimous? Next.
Okay, you weren't here, right? Oh, you were remote, never mind, you were remote. Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for Monday, June 8th, 2026.
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion on the June 8th minutes? Nothing? All right, all in favor? Unanimous?
And I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for Monday, June 22nd, 2026. And Jason was absent.
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion on the June 22nd minutes? Nothing? All right, all in favor? 4 in
I'll abstain.
favor and 1 abstention. Thank you. All right, next we have under old or unfinished business, the Whittier Regional Agreement Amendment Committee, review and discussion of the working draft. Oh, we have a, so Jason, I know you attended a meeting
you.
on July 8th. So I will put you on the spot when you're done doing that to get an update.
Sure.
One of the most challenging things that this committee has been facing is the capital apportionment part of the regional agreement. And I hope this puts into perspective why it's been so contentious and problematic. First, to change anything in the agreement, it requires 100% of all of the communities, which if you look at the capital apportionment for Haverhill, if it's done at the current capital rate for only $200,000, $200 million, their portion would be 86 million. But if you look, if it was done per pupil, it'd be 136 million. So to get that to be changed would not be very beneficial for Haverhill. And it's something that they would fight and prevent. And if it's prevented, then there's no chance of getting a new school. And even if we don't get a new school, there's still going to be hundreds of millions of dollars spent on refurbishing and renewing the current school, which the current capital apportionment would apply. So they've been working very hard and diligently to try to get to some sort of compromise. And it seems like where they're going to be settling in at is 50% of the capital apportionment will be applied as the current capital apportionment is applied, and the other 50% will be per pupil. And if you look, that changes at 200 million. Of course, we don't know how much it will actually be for a school or to refurbish, but this is just an arbitrary number that we put in there. That would change the increase of going from pupil to Haverhill from 49 million to 24 million. So basically about half. And of course, that other half would be separated out across the other communities. But it would still be better than if we kept it the way it was. If you look at what Groveland's apportionment would be, if it was done at the current rate, it's just about 9 million versus 5 million if it was done per pupil. And if they do it, the 50-50 split will be 7. And that's what most of the communities seem to be settled at. I'm sure they're going to make a decision at the next meeting.
Is there any discussion on that, where they're doing the per pupil thing of instead of doing it for just 1 year, using like a 3-year rolling average of the DESI number?
I think that's most likely will be a 3 or 5 year rolling average. I don't think it's going to change every year.
Yeah, okay.
Because that's just not as practical, because it can really be a budget buster for a lot of the smaller communities. And I think that's one of the reasons why they originally did the total student population. But
Okay, gotcha.
that's, that has been discussed, and I'm sure that's going to be part of it.
I think that would, I mean, if that's the route they're gonna go, it seems to me like using a 3 or 5 year.
Yeah, that's pretty much standard how Minuteman did it and a lot of the other communities.
So, yeah, This is based on a building, a new building that costs $200 million.
It's, yes.
Yes. So isn't there any hope that with a partnership with the Nickel campus, that this would be significantly reduced?
No,
Why?
because the original building 2 years ago now was 445 million. So the proportionate was 300 million for the communities after the state paid what they were going to pay. So this is already perhaps a reduced amount.
Everybody's going, oh, yeah, that's cheap. 200 million, that's a bargain. I guess what I would be interested to see is how this plays out in the annual assessment per household. Because when you look at the population of Haverhill and the number of households, and then you look at the number of households in Groveland, it's not necessarily apples to apples. And it might be, it might work out that the relationship between, what I'm trying to say is, maybe not saying it well, is what we're seeing here as the relationship between, if done the way they're doing it now, which we know is no good. Okay, can we just say it? That's no good, right? No, they're assessing us based on our total student population. That's what they're doing right now, every time. And the only good part about it has been that, like when we did our roofs and we did our septic and all, we always got additional grant money, so we were just able to slide it in as part of the assessment, and the member towns were able to afford it without an override. Okay, so it's sort of like we have to kind of sit down and crunch it out a little bit, I think, if we really want to understand the differences and the impact on our town. You know, because our students, because of the lottery, our student population went down. That was let in, right? But also keep in mind that that money that got freed up got gobbled up by the other school budget, right? And I believe if you cost out the cost of sending a student to Whittier versus Pentucket, I think Whittier costs more. Vocational schools tend to cost more.
That would make sense.
So that's something to keep in mind, like budgetary-wise. But just to kind of see what this could look like, we would need to know, like, the number of households in each town. I guess that's public data, right? Isn't it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, because, I mean, just to look at
It would
these,
have a lot less impact on Haverhill just because they
I
have a lot
mean,
more businesses.
just to sit, yeah, because then, yeah, but, so you need the businesses and the households. You're right, because they would all pay for it too. So that might be helpful, because if the impact on Groveland per household is still way too much with the 50/50, we need to know that, right? Right. Because my hope would be that it might not be too bad, and maybe perhaps it could be afforded without an override. But that's, the question is, are we still talking about an override? Because that's my biggest concern, and I worked at Whittier. I love Whittier. But most of the small towns, the parents don't regard Whittier as their high school until their child is there. So the likelihood of getting an override passed in the smaller communities is tough, I think. You saw the votes.
Yeah, it was like 73% voted.
Right,
last time or
right. So, I mean, I admire all this hard work, Jason, and I'm not trying to take away from it. But I think we need to get real about this.
Well, I think, and like I said, I mean, the most real thing is we're going to spend the money in refurbishing and renovations done to the old school building if we don't go with a new school.
Right, but I mean, we could still, it's a very outdated regional agreement. It's hard to believe that it's in compliance with all the laws that are now in place for regional school district
I'm sure it's
agreements.
not.
So, as with Pentucket, the teachers' union challenged the 3 out of 3 vote for the supplemental budget and got it thrown out. So the small towns may have to challenge something if we can't resolve it. But before we do anything, wouldn't you want to kind of know what each of these scenarios would look like in Groveland? I mean, I would,
With an imaginary number?
with the numbers you have right here.
Imaginary.
Well, yeah, I mean, but you're saying which of these is better. This is better because Haverhill might go for this. But Haverhill might go for it, but will Groveland go for it if it's a significant override?
Let's take a look.
I mean, that's what I'm trying to say is, that, you have to know what the override might be to know whether or not it's going to get through. I guess I hate to just like jump
Well,
on a bandwagon
then
and
it
say,
becomes much
yay,
more
go
difficult.
Whittier and watch it fail again.
Because it can change again, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, your population changes, it'll change.
Yes, but I'm just saying to look at it, when you're comparing just these total numbers and the changes in the totals, yeah, it looks like we're saving money, but what is it going to cost? Is it going to be an override? To me, that's a kind of a yes or no question. I mean, are we able to kind of figure that out, Rebecca, in some manner?
So I
Yeah, I
think
can
that
tell you right now, it's, should be $77 per household at 200 million.
At 200?
So I think that the issue that the RAC committee has been running into, again, is the fact that, like Select Member Neves had mentioned, we don't know what the cost is going to be. We don't know if, DCAM and other funding sources or private donation
Right.
or with our collaboration with NECC will produce additional monies. We only know that the governor has expressed a commitment to seeing this move forward, and there's talks about potentially getting an additional earmark put in through the millionaire's tax to provide that additional funding to bring down the cost to the municipalities. But regardless, the MSBA has made it very clear through all the documentation that you've seen that they're not willing to advance this project until we amend our regional agreement. And Haverhill is not willing to amend our regional agreement unless it includes relocating the campus at NECC, and I think a lot of the other communities also feel the same way. And so I feel that, at least my takeaway from those conversations is, again, that we find ourselves in this push and pull because
Yeah.
we're kind of, without amending the regional agreement, we're never going to move forward. And there hasn't really necessarily been the collaboration and the buy-in from all of the communities, because with the current agreement, it requires a unanimous vote.
Okay.
So we're really stuck. So I believe the conversation has resulted in that 50-50
Yep.
because it was the only compromise that enough of the communities felt as though could make Haverhill come to the table and talk about what other changes the regional agreement could see or would withstand. But Raleigh and Newburyport have taken a very hard stance that unless it's a per pupil, they will not be voting in favor. And so, again, that puts us at another standstill where we're meeting and we're having these conversations. And I think Jason and I have looked at each other a couple occasions and said, we're the same place we were last week. So this is great. So we really haven't necessarily been able to move the needle much. But I know the latest update that we all saw was that the mayor of Haverhill went before the city council. She had invited the Salisbury town administrator, who was the one who came up with the idea of trying to do this new hybrid approach of doing the 50% enrollment and 50% of the current allocation, and trying to, again, move the needle enough that Haverhill would be willing to get on board. And I believe they did express some of their commitment with that approach. But that doesn't mean that we have our solution, because Raleigh and Newburyport are still very adamant that they would require it to be an enrollment. And Ipswich came to the table more recently and said that it has to be a 50-50 with the change of the agreement, that it would be a 2/3 vote to amend the agreement moving forward. So there's still a lot of other moving pieces as part of that. I think that the committee, because they're almost in somewhat of a deadlock, at least it seems to be, with some of the communities being very strong in their opinion that this is what it's going to be, and others being willing to have a conversation. But like you said, I mean, we're all of the same assumption. Regardless of what happens, the voters need to approve it. So even if, we say it's going to be a 50-50 or per pupil or whatever, it still needs to go to the voters. But first, it needs to go back to the school committee. So the RAC is making their recommendations by the majority vote as to what goes forward, and then the school committee is ultimately going to decide what they would like to see, and then that goes to DESI. DESI reviews it, and then that's what's going to be put before town meeting or for the vote of the city council. What's been also difficult is getting them to understand town meeting doesn't operate the way that a city council. You can
Right.
bank on 6 members of your board, where town meeting can have multiple players, and the conversation can definitely get away from you. So it really isn't, you're never going to get the concrete number and answer, because
Yeah.
we can't get that far with the MSBA unless we amend the agreement, but we're all in a standstill on the agreement because Havel doesn't want to relinquish their unanimous control if, in fact, we're not going to allow for some type of middle ground with the capital enrollment, and then that leaves us with, to Jason's point, if we don't make any movement, the regional agreement stays the same, and we lose the MSBA potential, and then we still have Whittier that we need to contend with, and we still
Yeah.
have the same agreement that we can't get out of without a unanimous vote to be able to leave. So we have to have these conversations, and we're not going to know exactly what 100% the answer is. But
Yeah.
I think the majority of people, again, are saying, like, what are we doing? I mean,
Yep. So what happened with the night school?
so I did look into that a little bit more, and it is a carryover from the original agreement. I asked for additional information as to why and if we could potentially remove it from the agreement if necessary. They did say that it is a moneymaker for the school. They do
Yeah.
take in money for those courses. So it's just something that, again, must have been carried over, and I haven't necessarily received a concrete answer if they're willing to remove it at this point in time.
Because I've never seen in our enrollment numbers, the numbers always made sense to me. I mean, we have a small pot of students there. It's almost like you can count them in the hallways. And I know people from Groveland have taken night classes there, and I would question if they were included in our assessment. Because the classes happen after October 1. You know what I mean? Like some of them happen in January. I just wonder about that whole clause, like why it shouldn't be carried forward.
Yeah.
That should come out.
So, and I did, again, bring that forward to Angus Jennings, who's the chair, and I'm yet to hear back from him. I have a meeting with him tomorrow for the
Okay.
PRSD, so I will follow up with him because we then have our RAC meeting, I believe, Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, the following week. So
Well,
yeah,
we
the
could
next-
just look at the DESI numbers, if they match the Whittier numbers.
I talked to Kara Cosmas, the business manager, and she confirmed that we're not paying for those students, that they
I don't-
are,
yeah,
they are
yeah,
revenue.
okay.
So
So-
I did confirm that, so that's not the issue. It's just whether or not it needs to be a holdover in the agreement, or whether or not we can remove it, or whether or not it's clarified that we're not being charged there for any special
Well,
apportionment
you
as
certainly
it's
don't want
listed.
to be charged part of that 200 million for them. You know what I mean? That would be ridiculous. What about the seats on the committee? Are we still going to give 2 seats and 2?
I don't recall,
They didn't discuss it at all.
So, as part of these discussions about the agreement and how costs are gonna be allocated, has anyone from the RAC or anyone from the town asked DESI what they will approve? Because it's not the same as, once we open it and we make changes,
Yeah.
we could say, we're gonna do whatever, it still has to be approved.
By DESI, yeah.
So has anyone asked them what they will approve?
Yes. But Desi won't answer you. You submit it, they'll pick it apart, tell you what it needs to say, and they'll give it back to you and say, sign off on this. That's
Huh.
what they did with the Pentucket one.
Yeah,
That's why that got dropped.
yeah.
Okay, so have we looked at any recently approved agreements for other districts?
Yes, and they were all listed in there as well.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe we need to dig into that a little bit. Because I know they've
Minuteman-
changed
Minuteman's
what they
probably
will
one of the
approve,
best- one of the
especially around
best ones.
around capital costs.
Yeah.
Minuteman was one of the best ones and the most popular ones to use, but if you looked at the footnotes, they took pieces from all sorts of them.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we could vote to approve anything, and DESI could throw it out, so.
They could, yeah, they might not like the 50/50.
Right, well, that's what
They
I
might
mean.
say, we can't do this. I don't know why, but,
So
I don't
it's just-
know.
I don't know. I'd be more inclined to look at what other recently approved regional agreements or regional vocational agreements look like and follow that model, because you know those got
Yeah.
approved,
yeah.
as opposed to just
That's-
trying to figure
That's
something
what you
out.
have here.
Yep. And the concern, at least from the committee and at least from the feedback from consultants and through this whole process, is not necessarily whether or not DESI is going to approve it. There's not really been a very heavily detailed conversation back and forth as to, oh, well, DESI might not approve that. It's been more so like, what will the 11 communities all support? And whether or not that actually supports the mission of Whittier moving forward and
But that-
continuing to exist.
It's kind of a backwards approach, though, because if you could go to the communities and say, this is what DESI, here are the things that DESI will approve, then you at least have something to vote on,
Right,
as opposed to
and I
just
mean,
like.
honestly, it seems extremely fair to pay for the building in proportion to a rolling average of the students you send to this building overall. You know, if you only send 50 students, why do you have to split half of this with Haverhill, who sends 806, almost 880 of the students in the building are from Haverhill? It's like almost 70% of the building is in use by Haverhill, which limits the amount of students we can send. There's no open door saying we can send more as part of this new agreement. This lottery system has thrown that out the window. So I guess I keep wondering, you know, in explaining this to our citizens, say, well, the only way we could get Haverhill to agree would be to pick up 50% of what they should have been paying. Isn't that what we're saying?
Yep.
And then, and
100%.
I'm sympathetic to what you're going through, because then the other line is, and two of the towns are not going to approve this anyway.
Well,
So-
I think Raleigh is wishy-washy. Newburyport, when we started, they only had one student in there.
But
And
the
they're
only,
responsible for 10% of the cost. So Newburyport was like, we're just gonna walk away.
I mean, it just, if you had asked me to just say, don't tell me anything else, look at these and what do you think is fair, I would go right back to, well, those are the students you send, that's what you should pay, that's how we pay Pentucket. We didn't ask West Newbury and Merrimack to pick up 50% of our 39% of the new building, right?
And like.
We paid our fair share.
And like I say, it's a
frustrating.
stalemate. It's nothing anybody can do because the agreement requires 100%. And the only way to get it opened up is to get everybody to agree. And if we don't, then we're still gonna be stuck with paying 100% of the overage that Haverhill won't pay, because that's what's in the agreement. That's the way the capital apportionment is. And
Right.
it's not gonna be any less to refurbish the school over the next 30 years, because we already had the feasibility
Well-
study done, and we know those figures.
No, they're limited, though. They can only refurbish a certain amount before they will stop them.
Well, then they have to bring everything to ADA
Then they would have,
compliant.
I mean.
And that's where all the cost of refurbishing that building came from, was making everything ADA compliant. Because that meant new stairwells, everything
Yeah.
through that entire building.
So that, I mean, like, I don't know. I guess the point is, we don't have to vote on this, right?
No,
No, I mean,
not until
And
the school committee gets it situated.
and we don't have to really say that we think it's fair to pay 50% of
Well, we
what.
can say it's not
Of
fair.
what, it's not fair of what Haverhill should be paying.
You want to pay 100% of their overage or 50%? Is what it
I
boils down
don't,
to.
I feel like they campaigned very hard and steadfastly since I worked there to gain a higher and higher percentage of students in the building.
Oh, I don't doubt that, and
I know.
that's why I discussed earlier about our seat allocation matching our capital apportionment,
Yep.
because that's the way it should be done. And that.
Well, yeah,
and
I
that-
think,
And that is allowed with the new lottery system.
but to Steve's point, like, if we started to look at the laws that govern these regional agreements or the regulations that DESI follows, We have time. I mean, this is just going to go to the school committee, right? I mean, we're not on the hot seat here.
They're on, what, 1 year? Before the regional agreement has to be submitted?
Yeah.
So yes, this town meeting will be when we are to review the regional agreement.
Yep, so we have time.
A little bit,
Yeah, I mean, it's just,
7,
because,
8 months?
again, if somebody stopped me on at the supermarket and Mark, Kathy, why is this fair? And I'd be like, well, it's not, but we needed to get Haverhill to say yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see it getting approved at the 50/50. I don't think it would get approved in the majority of the time.
I think you
I-
might
I think it might be worse than the first vote.
the vote in here. Yeah, I think so too. I think that,
And that's the worst part, because you don't take the compromise, you're not willing to bend it all, and you're gonna screw yourselves because you pay 100% now.
yeah, but Jason, we're not going to pay 100%. They're just going to have to patch some things together to keep going until something,
They're
I
gonna
don't
have to
know.
become ADA compliant, and we know what the cost of that is. And that's a huge
but
cost.
there's also a
It was
regulation
hundreds
about,
of millions of dollars.
but there's a regulation on how much of a school can be rehabilitated before you have to build a new building. Pentucket went through that as well. So I do feel like we have
And
time
if
to
we
look.
don't, if we don't change the regional agreement, then we'll still
Well,
be
we're
on
not
the
going to
hook.
be the ones voting on it. So tonight, I like that you give us the
Yeah.
information. I understand why this 50/50 is here, but I wouldn't say it's fair to Groveland at all. It's not. And depending on what it ends up costing them, unless they can get it down to a point, like I said, Jason, they didn't know up till now that the capital was based on total student population, because
Didn't.
Whittier always got, when we got our new roof, when we got our new septic, when we redid the machine shop, we always got grants. We got lots of grants.
Yes.
So it was always, the assessment was affordable in our, we never had to ask for an override for Whittier, all the years that Whittier's been here. And nobody voted an override to build that building in the first place. And doesn't that say something? I mean, you know what I'm getting at here? These towns never all voted to build that building in the first place.
And you're not gonna get the state to pony up the money for it, because we've been down that road, we've been talking about it, and I've been pushing it personally through a lot of different representatives, including some of the candidates
Yeah,
that I've come across, because, and ultimately, it's not even what it was originally made for, because it's no longer producing a workforce when you got 80% of the students there going on to college.
you know.
They're not producing a workforce.
What might be interesting to look at, like locally, is like, what did Essex Tech do? I know they sold some land, and did all the member towns have to float an override to afford that building? I'd be interested to know that.
I have no
You know what I
idea.
mean? Because that would give us some comparison data to know, you know, they have what, 10, how many member towns do they have?
I don't know.
They have quite a few.
All I know is right now, at
Danvers
$7
being
million of capital, spread out over 30 years, assuming that our population stays relatively the
Yeah.
same, with
Yeah.
3,000 homes,
Yeah,
you're looking at $77 per year, per
Which-
household.
maybe it could be afforded in the operating budget, right? Maybe,
Maybe it's 233,000.
yeah. That may not be unmanageable. But the school committee is the one that's gonna vote it, right?
Well, they're the ones that has to.
Do they
They
have
have
to
to
vote,
submit it
did you
to
say
Bessie.
they have to vote unanimous or not? Or just 2/3?
Unanimous.
So they have to be unanimous too?
If they're not unanimous, then nothing changes.
Okay, okay,
That's what's in the agreement.
okay, all right.
It's a frustrating process.
Good
I know why
times.
Greg LeBrecq said good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've tracked it well. I still want this night school moved out. I'm sorry.
Is
this
there
wrong.
anything else you need?
I think
from
the
us?
wording is just odd. I think
Isn't it
that-
odd?
I think the wording is that it's there and that they either utilize it, and I don't think.
So maybe I misread it?
I think so.
I'll read it again.
It just seems odd.
It just was weird.
Do you need any more feedback on the draft? Or you
He don't
collect
want-
enough?
He doesn't
No,
want it.
The
He don't-
29th is our last meeting.
So we're good, okay,
As
okay.
Jason says, everybody
late.
just yells at everybody.
Yeah, so we'll just do your best.
Do your best.
We'll send you good wishes. All right, the other
Yep.
older unfinished business is the committee board template. I'm just going to let that hang
What
out.
committee's meeting on Thursday?
Oh, that's exciting. Okay.
Good.
Next, we have other items not reasonably anticipated at the time of posting. Nothing. The next one, we have select board member reports. So since our last meeting, there was a well, this was June 29th, a CPC meeting, but Ed, I don't think you were in attendance on that one. And then Jason, you just spoke about the Whittier RAC meeting. Let's go to town administrators' time. If you need to,
We're sitting on the edge of our seats.
I was just trying to update.
She's past bedtime.
it is. It
It is way past.
So I really don't have too much to update on, so this should be very brief.
Okay.
But just a couple of items. We did appoint a new assistant treasurer collector, Jacob Pettis, who will be starting with the town on Thursday. Jacob comes
Congratulations.
to- Yes, very excited. Jacob has a lot of experience with the payroll, specifically in the city of Medford as well as the city of Methuen. He holds a bachelor's degree in history from Bridgewater State University and is getting his bachelor's degree in accounting at Southern New Hampshire University. Additionally, we are rehiring our program coordinator, Tanya Rallone. She worked with us a year ago and took a brief hiatus, and she is now going to be returning. She started today, and she is going to be working with the Council on Aging, and we hope this time around she will be able to stay with us a little longer. Valley Screw update, after the email that I had sent over to the EPA and Mass DEP in regard to the new findings from Crederi Associates that we discussed at the last meeting, the EPA did respond to me and acknowledge the additional information, and they did acknowledge the fact that additional investigation may be necessary, and they are now asking whether or not Mass DEP will refer the project to the EPA's removal program. So in order to initiate that process, it starts with Mass DEP. So I have reached out to Senator Tarr and Representative Ramos to see whether or not they can further our request with Mass DEP to refer this project to that program. So hopefully we will hear some positive news, but there was some movement there, so we were glad that the EPA had reached back out. For
Cheers.
some projects around town, the Bagnell Elementary School entryway upgrades, if you haven't already seen, milling and paving have started for the entryway, just the milling of the roadway in addition to the sidewalk. Granite curbing has been delivered to the site, and the contractor is expected to be providing an updated construction schedule. And the top photo, it's a little small, but you'll see exactly what the plans are. So we are making sure that the pedestrian connections from School Street into the school are improved. I'm not sure if any of you have walked down in that area, but the pavement is falling off, the islands don't make any sense. So it is one of our priorities to address as soon as we started to see it further deteriorate, and then hopefully we'll push the renovations into the parking lot area. Along those same lines, we want to again thank Mr. Howard Hill for his generous donation for improvements at the cemetery shed. You'll see in the before and after photos, it is an amazing difference. So we are very appreciative of that donation. We are just looking to get a plaque installed, as we had discussed when we accepted the donation, and the project did come in under, so we will be returning those additional funds to Mr. Hill. I also wanted to update the board. We have now added our second cardboard drop-off location. As we had discussed in the program rollout, we were always going to have one here at Town Hall and the second one over at the Highway Garage. So the one at the Highway Garage has been installed. We put out a social media Canva flyer to alert people of the new location. The one at Town Hall is being heavily used. We have seen some slight abuse from some of the businesses. So when we talk about the abuse, if there's one additional thing, there's not really an issue if it's somebody from out of town, but we have a business that's been dumping about 50 to 100 boxes outside directly from a commercial organization. So we have been in contact with them to let them know that this is a residential drop-off location. As you'll see in the bylaw, that would constitute under enforcement for the highway superintendent, so he started to initiate that process. The individual is a resident within town, and obviously, from a residential perspective, he's welcome to bring his additional overflow cardboard, but from a business perspective, we're not here to accommodate commercial businesses. So we are trying to monitor that. We have increased the pickup for the cardboard location, so we do know that people are using it. We're excited that they're using it. So now we're just trying to make sure that the schedule is there to accommodate. We're showing that most of the time people are dropping off between Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we've scheduled pickup on Friday and Monday, which has changed the amount of cardboard that you're seeing throughout the week.
One quick, did you get any information about whether or not the recycle center will be able to ballpark our cardboard as a component of our single stream?
I've yet to, without understanding exactly how we would been billed, I haven't
Okay.
necessarily reached out. Once I get the first bill, that's when I was gonna kind of try
Okay.
and take a closer
That's
look
fair.
at exactly how things were broken out and whether
Yeah.
or not additional information was necessary.
Right.
But I did know that as part of our contract, we did ask for monthly reports, so we can ask for that additional data. It's just a matter of figuring out what they give us.
Yep, okay, thanks.
Other updates in terms of upcoming events and meetings, Water and Sewer, Planning Board, Recreation and Community Preservation Committee are all meeting this month, procurement. There are a couple of small authorizations, well under $5,000 for laptop purchase, a phone for the assistant accountant, and audit of accruals. The server upgrade was a capital improvement project. That's one of the larger of the expenses, but we were able to cut down on costs for some of the internal improvements that we had made for backup for the PD in relation to Town Hall. So projects in progress all are relevant in terms of what we had discussed and seen in former updates. Projects in progress, the only thing that you'll note that's new on this list is the community culvert program, where we're currently looking at submitting an application in the next 2 weeks. And then a list of meetings, events, and seminars that I've attended in the last 2 weeks.
It's a snap.
Any questions? Yep.
I got some questions that, the trash and recycling. It's supposed to be, according to that paperwork we got, on the curb by 6 in the morning. But the question was, why does it have to be there at 6 if they don't start picking up till 7?
I believe it's in regards to making sure that it's out in a timely manner, so that if they come by, it is out and ready for them. I would have to ask them what their operation is.
So they, my understanding, they don't start till 7 o'clock.
They definitely start before 7.
I'm not sure exactly
I
when
thought
they
that was the
start.
town ordinance, as far as the noise ordinance.
I know they picked mine up at 6:55 this morning, so.
I don't know how that goes into
Yeah,
the
mine was
noise
early.
ordinance. I'm not aware of a noise ordinance
There
that
is
would
none.
prohibit the trucks from picking up earlier. I just know that from their operation, they stated they wanted us to have the trash carts and recycling carts out before by 6 a.m. and of that day's pickup.
All right.
I always put mine out the night before, so it's never an issue.
Yeah, I know, I'm starting to do that too. Did you have a,
I just have a quick question, because I haven't heard an update on it in a while. Where are we at with the card or fob access to?
So we are waiting for BSS. All of the doors have been installed and upgraded as necessary, so it's just a software thing that we're waiting on. So they were supposed to get back to us last week. They have not. I actually talked to Steve McPherson, who's been leading the project for the town, and so he was going to reach out to Red, so hopefully I'll have an update for you shortly.
All right. Just because I think we're probably, 2 to 3 months away from more boards having critical meetings and things like that, so.
100%. So, but I believe we're pretty much there. I think it's just the final configurations that need to be done.
Jason?
Nope.
Kathy?
I'm good. Okay, great. Thank you. Next up are select board time and reports. Ed, do you have anything for today?
I don't have anything.
Steve? Jason? Kathy?
Yes, I wanted to thank Steve Baker for doing, we didn't collaborate. I just sent him my Excel sheets, and he did what I predicted he would do. He checked them for me, found some things that needed correcting, did not change the outcome of the analysis, but certainly great to have more help with the data, because it's a lot of data and difficult to double check when you looked at it for too long. But so I was hoping, I was just looking at my calendar, that our next meeting is the beginning of August, right?
August 3rd.
Yeah, if we could have the superintendent in, I believe we need to just kind of walk through understanding of the numbers with him, so that we have a pretty firm understanding of what he thinks the numbers that he's going to use next year are. It sounds promising, but I don't trust this general emails with, DESI numbers. There's a lot of DESI numbers out there. So by showing the historic data and showing the DESI chart, and I did put in a question to Rebecca that hopefully can be answered at the same time, as to whether or not DESI provides any type of a confirmation to Pentucket in a summary form of like the table that I've seen, that you saw. Do they provide that to Pentucket? Can we hang our hat on that? So this is a future discussion. If we can fit it on the next agenda, I would appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm missing the meeting after that. maybe.
I know, I was going to, so the next one will be August 17th.
Oh, I think I'm still here. Wait. Oh,
Said you're
maybe not.
leaving on the 23rd.
No, that's for this month.
Oh,
You're confusing. This is my niece's wedding this month. This is
sorry.
I think I am, yep, it says right here, Cape Cod vacation.
You're on vacation on the 17th?
Yeah, the 16th through the 22nd.
Okay. Well, do you think you'll have all that information in time, to bring him in?
Oh, it's done.
Yeah, I think my only concern
thanks
would
to-
be that the board have time.
Point of
to-
order, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman.
Yep.
The selectmen's time is not to initiate a discussion. If it's something that's going to be discussed, it should be on an agenda item.
That's what we're
Not
asking for.
discussed under select board time.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm just asking if she will have the information ready for a guest for the next.
Yes,
So it has
that's
to
the
do with the
topic is,
agenda.
I believe the information should be ready.
Okay.
I believe it should be.
All right. And then finally, correspondence. So there was a contact town hall submission from Stephanie Racha, I'm not too sure, regarding trash and recycling program dated July 6, 2026, and a resignation letter from John Gray from the Water and Sewer Commission dated July 12, 2026.
Okay.
So with that, our next scheduled meeting of the Select Board will be Monday, August 3rd at 6:30 PM. We have concluded our agenda for July 20th. May I have a motion to close the meeting at 10:24 PM?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion on that? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you.